Tell me that you like it. Yeah. Funk Week. It's the Bennington show. That is a really strange thing to say. And like the producer's like, I don't know, I think we need some heavy breathing here. Like scary guys, just breathing heavy like it's a gangbang.
Yeah, just like a couple dudes at once, though.
They're in some kind of a weird fucking rhythm. And like if you were like partying with someone, they just start doing that. You're like, I think that's the end of this. I'm going to get out of here.
It's getting weird.
Yeah, it's gotten odd all of a sudden. All right, it's the Bennington show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
I'm Ron Bennington. I just saw this, Just for Laughs said that Trevor Noah is Comedy Person of the Year for the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. They have the oddest awards that they give out. They're giving one to Jim Carrey where it's like generational award.
Sure.
Like if you come, you're going to get an award.
Yeah, if you got to come though.
Yes. You want to be Comedian Person of the Year.
Like, they could have thought about the title a little bit.
They're in a hurry. They are in a hurry. Speaking of which, and this is a few weeks ago when we, from now, when we head up to, did I even introduce us?
Yes, you did.
Okay, good.
You did.
I get a little caught up in myself.
He's getting old.
Yo, losing it a little bit. You know, my dad is saying, like, he forgets names. I'm like, welcome to the club, dude. So your granddaughter does. So, Montreal is coming fast. We've got the, Big Comedy 101 coming to Montreal. Chris, what's the dates on all that?
That's July 28th, 11 p.m. at the Mainline Theater in Montreal.
So, go, to the iBang to get your tickets now. We're going to announce the judges hopefully in a couple of days. We've got 2 of the 3 down and their killers is going to be, I'm going to go so far to say it's going to be the funniest and best show in the whole damn Montreal Comedy Festival.
I think so, too.
I mean,
don't want to be presumptuous.
Should somebody else be saying that besides us? Yes. But if they're not, we're going to say it.
I'm not ashamed.
No. But it's going to be so damn funny. But the requests have come in. I don't know. Jeffrey Gurian is with, well, he told me a giant TV network. And they all went to the Vegas Comedy Festival, like 18 of them. And wherever he went, there was a full crew. And now I think they blew their budget on that. And they can't go to Montreal. So he did that thing where he's asking for help.
Yeah.
With the red carpet. There's 2 shows. One on Thursday, one on Friday. So I'm looking for people that want to be his cameraman. Last year you did it.
Yeah, I was with him at the red carpet events and the award ceremony.
How was that?
It was a great time.
Yeah.
He was very specific that you have to let people know beforehand that you're going to be taking 2 pictures.
Now, do you take video for him too?
Yeah, so we start off with video.
Yeah.
And then after the video, we have to get 2 pictures from the waist up. And I think we broke into one party like earlier than everybody else. I remember I met him at the variety party we all went to.
Yes.
And like he just walked in and we were in there while they were setting up. And I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be in here right now.
Actually, I think it was that party that I was introduced to a very big comedian, Aparna Nancharla, who later became, who was a guest on Gail Meets Girls. And so I was very excited and, like get her contact and everything like that. And Vito comes over and goes to like introduce us, and Jeffrey like steps in between us and is like, "I'll bring her on the show." And Vito's like, "Well, I could just grab her email right now," and he's like, "I'll take care of it."
I'll do it. That's why I could be sitting there adding stuff like that's true. So now, Justin, when are you getting to Montreal?
I was thinking about heading down like either the Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, it's you and Vito are the only 2 that could be up for this. Everybody wants to be in a Fellini film, and it can't happen anymore.
Right.
But when you're with Jeffrey Gurian, you will have an experience. It's going to feel uncomfortable.
The room will be spinning. Faces will be like, oh,
Take 2 pictures, please, from the waist up. I mean, honestly, you guys should eat acid before you do it. But one of you guys can do Thursday and the other can do Friday, unless one of you guys want to do both days. Who's up?
I'll definitely take one day. I'll do 2 if it needs to.
We'll see who has a better relationship. All
right, let's see who has the wackier story. Yeah. That'll be your job. Now, you got to take pictures for yourself, too.
Well, Jeffrey's kind of sensitive about that sometimes.
That's part of the fun.
You need to learn how to work with Jeffrey, okay? It's important.
And you got to get him out of his comfort zone a little bit.
Yeah. Shoot the feet.
Dutch
I'm going to shoot from the waist down, if that's okay with you, Jeffrey.
No, Jeffrey, I will be taking this picture.
All right, so you're getting up on Thursday, right?
Yeah, Thursday afternoon.
All right, so let's have Justin cover. Well, what would work better? Because we might be doing the load-in on our show on Friday. We get a couple hours in the afternoon to do that load-in.
We got a nice little...
It doesn't matter what yet. I'm just going to cover them back that we got them covered. Because...
we'll figure it out. We'll make it work.
I'm trying to guess right now whether the festival or me has gotten more texts about this frantic in the last 24... So finally, I'm like, just email me what you need... So I'm not discussing it.
Let's just have me step in one of the days and I'll be like, oh, I stopped shooting. My arm got really tired. And then he just turns around and I'm just like at the bar with like a
selfie with somebody that he wants to be friends with.
Just me and Trevor Noah talking in the corner.
I'll bring him in. I'll bring Trevor in. He actually did bring Trevor in one time. And it was really funny because it was like just an announcement that Trevor was doing, had got the, what do they call those, correspondence job?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, a kid from South Africa getting a correspondence job. That is interesting. And then I read the book later and he already knew, like he was being groomed. Like Stewart had already said, I'm getting out of here and this kid would be perfect.
Really?
Yeah. So it was like very secretive. And, I'm like, oh man, if Trevor would have said that day, that would have been great for us.
I'm being groomed.
I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I'm being groomed to take over everything. So all my pictures have to be taken from the waist up.
Great booking, Jeffrey.
Jeffrey still hasn't figured it out to this day. That's the funny thing about him. Like he went to the initial night that Trevor did that show, and then never again. You know what I mean? But he went to the first night. We're like, oh, that's amazing. Because everybody will be paying attention to that. But never went back again or never...
Kept the relationship.
Or maybe the relationship soured.
That could be. That could be the case. But Jeffrey, he's got to be jumping. He can't stay in one position.
No, he's jumping around. Bum, 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 boom. That's stuck in my head now. You watched Home Run Derby last night?
I caught some clips. I saw Aaron Judge. I mean, every Yankee fan is acting like they just won the World Series because he won the Home Run Derby.
Here's the thing. He looked like it was the easiest thing to do in the world.
Yeah, I think this season he hit the longest home run since they've started tracking them.
But look like you're trying, dude. You know what I mean? Everybody else, he's just up there and he's just slapping this. Just slapping it. Not a care in the world.
He's an amazing man.
I like the new format that they introduced last year, like the head-to-head.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's that? It's different than...
It used to be a chance for a bunch of people to do it.
Please tell me the 2 pitches get thrown out at once.
Holy shit. Don't even let them know that. Or do you have a left-hander and a right-hander and there's only one pitch? So it's up to them to swing. We're trying to get more young people to like baseball. That's all they talk about anymore. What do we have to do to change the game so children like it?
Why don't they just put a GoPro on the batting helmets?
Holy shit, that's a fucking great idea. That's not changing the game at all. You just have one on the center fielder and you fuck! See him running? Because there's no better.
Amazing.
There's no better play in sports when, let's say, in center field, the ball gets hit to the center fielder's right-hand side, and he breaks left, and then has to stop and run back. Because you just look, you could end up looking like a little leaguer at any time. Now, this guy here, that you guys, he's your new Jeter?
For Yankee fans, yeah, he's their new, he's a rookie, he's just dominating.
But I'm saying this is the way people felt about Jeter when he broke in, and, you know.
I mean, he's been all that the Yankee fans have been talking about all season.
Now, were they surprised when he was crying on Big Brother and saying how much they missed his mom? What's that guy's name?
Josh.
You're a really good person. You got a great heart, but I hate you.
I hope the best for you in life when you get out of it. Get out of this house.
But as of right now, I will never talk to you again, and I miss my mom so much.
There was something they didn't show that was on the live feeds where he said, "Look, I love this girl. Her sickness, it helped me cope with my grandfather's sickness, and it made me be able to talk to people about my grandfather."
Oh my God. That was too accurate, by the way, Vito.
I know. Well, he sits
remind me of Josh.
He sits in his home doing Big Brother voices instead of playing with other children. Poor Vito.
It's like Psycho. You think that Big Brother's on in the other room, but it's just Vito just doing all the voices.
That's the scariest thing I ever heard. You're just having a cup of tea wondering, who are all those people?
I guess he's got the feeds on again.
Well, your boy's
God.
really excited about this HOH competition coming up.
Aren't you bored with him?
Yeah, I think he's been given way too many opportunities this season. He got the friendship bracelets. He got 3 weeks of safety. Everybody handed him the HOH competition.
I love him. I love Paul.
You know who I love? Fucking Psycho Cody.
You love Cody.
No, you're saying that he'll be able to, he's definitely getting voted out this week.
100%.
But that he'll be able to fight for his way back into the house.
There's a good chance they're doing there's a special Friday episode coming on the 21st, which people are speculating is going to be a battle back or a buyback.
Too early.
Well,
already?
Because they want to get him back in because he's good for the show.
I mean,
so they're going to do a
wait a week or two, can't you?
He's unbelievable, though. He's the best thing that's ever happened to CBS.
Those edits are so
I'll say it's Cody second, and then Everybody Loves Raymond's mom is number one. That's the two best things that ever happened to CBS. What's with all this fruit? You can't have all this fruit in here. Can't breathe with all the fruit. That was the funniest thing. It was based on a real story that somebody gave their mom a Fruit of the Month club and she went crazy. I can't eat this much fruit.
Just totally overwhelmed.
But it's like that thing when you try to give your parents something and you see that it's become a hassle for them. Like once I gave my parents a cruise and found out immediately they're not going on this cruise.
Right. And that what you've given them is guilt and anxiety and frustration with this gift.
Yes. And it's now all my fault.
It was almost that way with Amazon Prime, but luckily it worked out.
Amazon Prime, I'm still,
And by the way, happy Prime Day to you.
What's that about?
It's Amazon Prime Day where there's a bunch of really good deals on Amazon Prime.
That's good because I just ordered a book today. It'll be here in 2 days.
Nice.
Free. I think the whole thing's free. Once you're on Amazon Prime, they just give you free stuff every day. Well, I'm impressed with Amazon Prime. I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm more impressed than I am with Netflix.
I'm happy to hear that.
Netflix does have the specials, the comedy specials.
Yes.
And that's it, in my opinion. Your shows suck.
Prime needs to get on those specials.
Yeah, I think they could because they have, I think, $600 trillion in their war chest right now. Chris, did you watch the rockumentary that I told you about, Defiant Ones?
I've not watched it yet, no.
And you've only watched a little bit, right,
Yes.
Gail? Vito?
I'm all for it. I'm 10 minutes away from the end of episode 4.
And Jen, do you have HBO? No matter what I ask, she's like, I don't have that stuff.
That's not a thing.
The other day, she told me she didn't have NBC.
So I noticed that she'll say, she'll use it as an excuse, like, yeah, black people don't watch HBO. And then I'll find out that's not true, that they do watch
And you only get
They're
one-third
just
of that.
stars. They're just stars, black people. Because the show called Power.
Oh, yeah. That runs as a preview throughout this whole thing. But you like the hippity hop, right?
Yeah, I like the hippie.
Oh, it's all in there, man. That
know.
death row was crazy. Crazy.
I can't wait to see it.
The early 90s were so fucking badass.
Yeah. Rap was like bananas then.
Rap, grunge, and then whatever you would call that fucking Nine Inch Nails shit.
Yeah.
Rage Against the Machine. Jane's Addiction. There was great fucking music across the board. And it just, it burned out and didn't fade away.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we get Britney Spears and whatever that shit was.
But it was like one of those things where I felt like in the early to mid 90s, everyone's like, music isn't what it used to be. And then the late 90s showed up and we're like, oh wait, we should have appreciated what we just had. Because now we don't have that at all.
I thought people really appreciated grunge. And, gangster rap there was fucking like senators and congressmen and,
Right. All worked up about it.
Just trying like, we've got to stop this.
It's an epidemic.
You're like, well, they've had horror movies for 100 years.
Saying all the worst words.
You already have a Freddy Krueger running around. Why is this scarier to you?
I don't know what's worse, the guns or all the butts. It's not good.
Yeah, that is true. That was the original. Guys are drinking champagne with a big ass on each side.
That's just the best.
Yeah.
Was Bill Clinton president when they showed that clip of him in the Defiant Ones?
Ooh, let's see. Probably would have been 92. He became president.
What was the clip that they...
It was him in a Senate hearing being like, rap is bad, like they're corrupting our youth.
It was the only thing that the Democrats and Republicans agreed on. And we still agreed on today. Oh boy, we're afraid of black people. And they start dancing around and shit. Yeah. But let me tell you, Death Row was like a fucking mafia. They were crazy. Crazy. And I'm not even talking about the rappers themselves.
Yeah.
That fucking Suge Knight. Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. How's he got an office?
How does he have an office?
Like 90s gangster rap, the labels turned into gangs themselves.
Yeah.
And they started warring with each other.
Right.
And like gang culture just came into labels mainstream where like if Death Row guys saw other labels, they'd argue.
Dude, that fucking Source Awards where the West Coast guys were fucking winning awards and getting booed in New York, and fucking Snoop's like, oh yeah, you don't like, he's fucking yelling back, and I'm like, holy shit, and I don't even know the guy's name who put the whole thing together, but he got so many amazing shots. A lot of times he'll get shots of them just sitting there like, oh boy, they're just sitting before they start talking. They sit for a long time. They're like this. Tupac. Jesus Christ, Tupac. Because they showed, like, for the first couple albums, Tupac was, like, a nice person trying to fucking help people. And then he
always seemed like a sweetheart to me.
Well, the first three albums, it was like, hey, poor people, rich people, help poor people, this is basically his rap right there. I'm just doing it. And then, once he turned Thug Life. But when you see the amount of fucking shit that he did and then died at 25.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just.
It's pretty crazy.
Recording around the clock. And then the bit where Eminem came in is just. That fucking kid was crazy as shit.
Yeah.
He was out of his mind.
Yeah, I think he was pretty
fucking dressed up like Robin and all that shit.
In the parking lot?
Yeah, he was crazy.
Alan Hughes directed of the Hughes Brothers.
Oh, is that right? I had the Hughes Brothers on before. They're great.
They're awesome. It is really weird, that gangster rap era, because the two top artists of a genre fucking killed each other. If you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's true. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if, like, Biggie was behind that thing or, but Tupac is, rapping about fucking his wife. I mean, that was, this was going to end bad. I don't need Alan Hughes to tell me that.
There was a music video when the first line is like, fucked your wife. How the fuck did that happen?
Dude, what was that weird thing in, at least that was in Florida, that kind of was replacing MTV where you could get the
box.
The box, yeah.
Yeah.
So there was this thing called the box where you could call it in for 99 cents. You could get it on your TV, they said, like it was a jukebox.
Yeah.
And it was just wall to wall gangster rap.
That was really the first time I really got introduced to gangster rap as like a genre. Like rather than just like hear it a little bit here and there, like actually sit down and watch them. And and to this day, this is still like my favorite rapper is ODB, like is still my favorite.
Yeah.
But I remember being a little kid requesting Brooklyn Zoo and just being like, this is as exciting as it is terrifying to me. Brooklyn, go! And I was like, holy shit, what is he saying? Half of this stuff is bleeped out.
I remember when I was with the Ron and Ron show, we were supposed to do this thing at the Hard Rock in Miami, right? Can't remember what the details were, but my guy Flipper had, he had just like an intern band, him and his buddies, and I don't know what it was. They were mad at us in Miami because, I had a Miami station, and then these German tourists had got killed. So we named his band the Dead German Tourists before we went down there. So the news takes it like fucking 100% serious. Like, this is the worst thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
Like, for that, like, little time, I'm death row. You know what I mean? And I'm, like, standing with him on MTV, and I go, these kids are the future, man. You know what I mean? Like, these kids are... And I mean, they could play, like, a couple of buddies that were, playing. So we get kicked out, and we have to go to another venue. And I booked 2 Live Crew to be there with us in the morning. And this was like when they were doing that, whatever that fucking crazy shit where they used Banned in the USA. Bruce Springsteen let them use Born in the USA as the hook, because their shit was being just taken out of stores. So these guys show up, and it's, 6 to 10, we're doing the show, AM. And we're fucking hitting each other with stun guns and, we got titty dancers. I mean, just full tilt shit. And then we keep saying, coming up later, the Dead German Tourist, the band with no fear. One of the guys in the band was trying to quit and putting a hoodie over his fucking head. He was just a regular kid. Right?
This is more controversy than I was willing to.
In front of these drunk fucking, Fort Lauderdale kids, we bring out 2 Live Crew, which, we got these white rock kids.
Yeah.
And then 2 Live Crew. These are like 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
We did not mix at this point. And then 2 Live Crew had these girls in fucking G-strings, which were not the girls you wanted to see in G-strings.
Right.
They were big. They weren't groomed properly. And it was fucking amazing. We had it was just great. Everybody was losing their shit. And it was one of those shows like, is this even going to hold together? Like it'll be okay if we, all of our shows were always close to being shut down as it was, because it's like 7 o'clock in the morning and you're just
early
fucking
for that
holding
behavior.
up traffic and shit, right? And then like 2 nights later, I'm at my fucking house and I get a call from Luke and he's like, hey man, that was off the hook. And this was like, I don't know what he changed. He was Luke Skywalker. He had to change his name. He said, we got to take this out on the road. You got your thing, I got my thing, we put it together. And I'm like, I don't see this. We have one magic day, dude. I don't see this working.
Let's not ruin this.
Yeah. And then what was the funniest part of it, they came to, they came to Tampa and they did their gig and the hip hop station put them up. But one of the guys on stage is wearing a 95 YNF Home of Rock and Roll shirt that we gave him. So the fucking hip hop station was furious. It was fucking hysterical.
Looks like it's changed it simply to Luke.
Just simply Luke?
Just Luke.
Yeah, because he went out as Luke Skywalker.
It's fucking great.
Yeah, and fucking George Lucas is like, no. Can't do that.
Do that. You can't be Luke Skywalker and then like say pop my coochie.
Then I remember when the Heat went off the dead German tourists and they went out to do a gig somewhere, and I'm on the radio and they're like, we know this thing has already run its course. And I go, well, if this doesn't sell out, he's going to kill a dog on stage. That said it like once, and that was it. Everyone was going fucking crazy. I think they did something with Ice Cube, too.
Really?
Yeah. And then when they opened up for Bad Company, I said the only way that they could do it is if they played Bad Company songs. So
Bad Company
feel like making do-do-dum. Bad Company's like, is that us?
What's going on?
Are we fucking out there already?
Opening band just does covers of the next
It's
band.
fucking so stupid. Just being assholes. Just complete assholes all the time. Well, you guys will know when you get up there and you're in charge of taking Jeffrey Gurian around Montreal.
He'll get it.
We're one like Death Row up there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll be Suge Knight.
Knightenstein's more like it. Oh, there's free food. I'm going to load up some of this in my pockets for later. Now, Jeffrey appeared on Street Jokes and stole it. But we found out we got a technical problem, Chris, and we won't be able to air Street Jokes.
I'm trying to work on fixing the audio.
It's never going to be radio ready, though. Why don't we just put it on a SoundCloud later this week? Because you can't put something on the radio that... yeah, let's just put it on a SoundCloud and forget about it. But I'll give away the bit. Jeffrey fucking destroyed this show. Destroyed it.
Was so shocking.
And I don't know how I'm going to tell him that we fucked up the recording. Because literally, he buried all these headlining comics.
I know.
One after another.
He really did.
He had the show of a lifetime. And you could see it on his face. He kept looking back at me.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe this?
Every time he walked off the stage, like the way he looked at me, like, right? Am I right? I mean, you didn't think I could do that, did you?
But street jokes, and it's just old jokes. It's set up perfectly for him. Perfectly.
Yeah, it's tailor-made for him. It was exactly in his wheelhouse. And he fucking crushed it.
It's not only is it tailor-made for him, it was Taylor Swift for him. He was the Taylor Swift of this show.
Shake it off.
Is she still the biggest pop star, or is there somebody else?
I guess it's like it's like her, Beyonce, and Rihanna. I
think Taylor Swift is still the biggest, like, money-wise.
Dude, did you see that thing in the paper today about Jay-Z? They were quoting his lyrics from the new album where he's talking about things were falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I saw it on his
fucking hilarious. The fucking lyrics in this.
I still don't understand. Like, how can I listen to this? I don't understand how I can listen to it.
Tidal. You have to sign up for Tidal.
Or not Sprint.
I don't have either of those things, and I don't want to sign up. I just want to listen to it.
I can send it to you.
Yeah, I can
look.
Whoa!
Look, you got the hookup. Chris, that used to be you with all the hookup, but now you're behind technology.
I don't got shit right now.
Do you like the album?
Yeah, Jen and I listened to it. It came out the day of the wedding. We listened to it on the way up there.
Jen is always like breaking new hip hop because I feel like for me, like Austin, all I think about is the new Kendrick Lamar album because she would wake up in the morning. It would be like 8 a.m. and immediately she would put on
the iPod thing, alarm clock things where you could blast it on,
So that was my wake up call every morning.
Sit down, be humble.
Sit down, be humble. That was like us every morning brushing our teeth.
That's so funny. You're like, I like this song. I was like, it's humble, it's DNA. Just give her the whole rundown. That's so funny.
Hey, Mike, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
Maha Bone.
Maha.
Just wanted to, I think you're underplaying the Impact 2 Live crew in those shows you had. They were lunacy, and I don't think today you would get away with it,
No.
given the political correctness of the world.
Well, no, absolutely not. And like the thing about Luke is he was already. This is how fucking crazy things were back then. He would be on the sidelines of the Miami Hurricanes game, a college football team, and when somebody had a big hit, he'd hand them a C-note. What? It used to happen all the time. They had to ban him. He was fucking so crazy.
So shady.
He was also like he had that thing where he didn't seem aggressive, right?
Right.
You know, I mean, he was just like, "Hey man, good to see you."
Right.
But that shit was.
What was their other big song? Was like "Me So Horny"?
Me So Horny
Yeah.
was their biggest song.
Face down.
Face down, ass up.
Right. And then Pop That Coochie.
Yeah, Pop That Coochie it was through the fucking roof. I mean, this was the earlier days.
Yeah.
I mean, this was like, before that it was like the Fat Boys or something. You know what I mean? I know these fucking dudes.
So good.
It's fun to reminisce, and I remember the St. John's Pass gig. That was
another one we got in trouble for shooting off massive fucking fireworks at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. And that's the one, this was fucking hilarious lineup. So I tell everybody that the big thing at the time was like if you were like parasailing on a surfboard or some shit.
Yeah.
Like it was a
Yeah. What's that called? It's like the surfboard, but it has like a sail on it.
No, this is up in the air, right? So I tell everybody that Flipper is
like
going
kite surfing.
Yeah. So he jumps out of an airplane with a fucking surfboard. We're seeing him from the distance, right? There's fucking thousands and thousands of kids out there. And he just comes in on a surfboard and a parachute over the fucking crowd by like 15 feet. Boom, right behind the stage, comes running up and they start rock. The place is going fucking crazy. Obviously, he doesn't know how to do this. I had a fucking professional guy do it. Right. But it couldn't have worked any better. It was fucking crazy. And then like, they're like, hit the fireworks. We knew we had fireworks. We had fucking fireworks like 4th of July and they're going off at 8 o'clock in the morning in this fucking community. People are running out like they're under attack, regular people who lived in the neighborhood. We didn't have fucking, we weren't set up to do that.
Right.
We didn't have.
You didn't have a permit to have massive
we had a bunch of fireworks. And they're like, well, you're not coming back. Like, we were already here. We did it. But yeah, that was crazy, crazy shit. Thanks, Mike. Those shows were fucking lunacy. Lunacy. But that was Shock Jock was the death row of fucking rock morning radio. Like, that's the thing about, what was just like Opie's thing where they were calling him a shock jock and shit. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I forgot, man. That's what the newspapers used to do all the time to people. Shock jocks, bit goes too far. Right. It was always like, you're just like, well, just some fucking stunts.
Just a regular fella with a couple of stunts up my sleeve.
We used to have fucking boxing rings with girls versus guys boxing. And it was just...
More than a woman.
Yeah.
Remember, like, when he would...
When Billy the Phone Freak came out
Yeah,
there?
Billy would... Is that how he would end the fight? Like, he'd, basically win a fight against a girl and then sing that in a really high falsetto. More than a woman to be.
Well, I had gotten on the air and I said that no woman could ever beat a guy in a fight. And all the women were obviously very mad. And why wouldn't they be, right? So we would let somebody, I'm going to take my phone screener, who's like 115 pounds, string bean, and you get the best woman you can have and we'll have a fight. And they would always be these brutal girls and they would come in and do the weigh-in and shit. And Billy would train with whatever fucking local guy was. And he would beat them. He would beat these girls, right? So we kept doing it every gig. And then finally, like 6 gigs into it, Billy's been training. He's fucking sticking and moving. He's moving around. And we're like, oh shit, this is losing its fun. Right? This is now turned into an assault. Because he's training full time. You know? He's wrapping him up. He's moving backwards. It's a rope a dope. And, so we're doing this thing in the morning at the fucking Tampa Civic Center, something, fucking 10,000 kids are there. And we got this ring set up. And the referee is Randy Macho Man Savage. We have fake Asia there. I mean, it's a big day. Flipper had just was covered in bees, his entire body. You know, I mean, really great entertainment for the children.
Thinking stuff.
Yeah, thinking man's comedy. So Billy's fucking boxing this chick, and he's sticking and moving. And Savage is in his full makeup, separating. I'm looking at the girl, you know, that whole thing. And Billy fucking hits this girl, and she goes down, and you just see her arms go out and her legs go out like a fucking starfish, and she ain't moving. And it's like 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. She ain't fucking moving. And I can't tell you how frightening it is. You feel and I'm just like silently, I'm not saying anything. I'm looking at silently. I'm like, please, God, get her up. You know, right. You're just screaming in your head. Why I'm trying to act cool as hell. And just in my ear, I hear Macho Man. I don't know, man. I don't think she's going to make it. That's it. She's checked out. She's on her way to another plane, dude. Like, he's not even joking around. Right, he's weirded out. And I'm like, shut up, dude. Shut the fuck up. And I'm telling you, man, when she started moving, it was like one of the best moments of my life. Ray in Georgia. Ray.
Hey, I remember listening to you guys in Florida and the Genital Torturers. I never knew if it was a bit or what it was.
No, it was not a bit. The Genital Torturers were a metal band that would torture genitals on stage. That was their hook. And they're the ones that I remember one day they bring these, Jen from the Genital Torturers is a stunningly beautiful blonde girl. And they would bring girls during the show on stage, put needles through their nipples, nail guys' balls to a fucking plank.
I think that Flipper did that, right? He had like his balls nailed to like a wooden Trojan horse or something.
People in the audience for these shows would be, some of them would throw up or they'd run out of the room. They were just fucking, I'm going to say it, they were ahead of their time. Yeah. They were ahead of their time. People were not ready to go this far. And really fucking fun, great music. But this shit, I remember we had two guys boxing. I think it was Fast Eddie and Malibu Mo. And whoever lost had to get a Prince Edward, I think it's called. Prince Albert, where it goes into the penis hole and down into a hook. And they just gleefully grabbed him in the middle, shoved this thing in. I mean, it happened so fast. And the audience is just screaming and going crazy. And you have to remember, at that time, I worked for fucking CBS.
Right.
CBS.
Right.
And they're like, okay, so you're going to be torturing genitals. We're going to have them sign releases. Man, I forgot some of those crazy ass stories. They were fucking wild.
I remember when Flip had to do when they were going to nail him to nail his balls. Yeah. And I remember actually even I'm being concerned. Because, that's something you have to understand from my perspective is, all the guys on that show were, uncles to me. Yeah. So I was always concerned. I was always concerned that Fez was getting his feelings hurt. I was concerned that someone was hurt. And I remember, having my mom being like, the skin around the scrotum doesn't have a lot of feeling, so he should be okay. And I'm just I'm just worried about Flipper. to have your mom explain to you, Flipper's balls are going to be okay. She's like, it's just going to be the skin. You'll be fine.
Well, I will tell you this. You gave it much more thought than your dad did.
Anytime Fez was being teased, I would be like, I'm worried about Fez.
When Fez had to come out in that, I don't know, there was some fucking sick manatee, right?
Yeah.
And then we said...
Yeah, he had a name, though. He was like something...
Manatee, right?
Yeah, like he had a specific name, the manatee. It wasn't just like Fez the manatee or something. And then he had to come out in the costume.
Well, we kept saying that he was a manatee. On the air, he was whatever this manatee was. And we're like, hey, we're sorry, I saw you in the news. And he would yell, I'm not a manatee. You know, Fez knew how to play the wrestling thing. And then we did this gig, and he had to come out in a manatee costume where they played this fucking music. And he was just like doing his flippers back and forth with the music, but acting like he wasn't happy. It was one of the funniest things I ever saw in my life. Bob, you're on the air.
Hey, Ron.
Yeah.
I just wanted to apologize for being a little pushy the other night.
Oh, this is Party Shots.
Party Shots, Bob.
Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
That's all right,
Hi.
Bob.
You know, if you didn't say listeners were going on first, it never would have happened.
I don't even remember saying it.
Well, anyway, but it was a great night, and if I didn't get heckled by a certain comic, my delivery would have been a little better.
Well, I don't think you had the joke that you needed for that occasion. You know, you need
How about
nice...
a smash of trash? Let me tell it now. Let the listeners decide.
Oh, no. Well, who heckled you?
Mark Norman.
Oh, that's right. Did he keep calling you Pops?
Yeah, call me Pops. Call me Jeffrey Gurian's writer.
All right, well, we're going to save it because we're going to put it on a SoundCloud, I think, later this week. But we fucked up.
Right.
This is the second time that you did this to make the radio, and we fucked up the recording this time.
All right.
But we'll definitely play it. But why did Norman jump on you like that?
All I said was I saw him the week before. He was being nice. You know, he was busting balls.
He's a ball buster, that guy. He's funny as shit, too. He was hilarious that night.
Oh, by the way, Gail?
Yes?
If the picture on the flip-flops was just you, that would have been weird. But you and your bestie,
yeah,
that's kind of cool.
That is true.
Bestie, that's kind of cool.
I've been wearing them like for a week straight. They're very comfortable, and I love them.
Your size 16 men's?
No one does.
No one has that size, Vito.
All right, Bob. Good to talk to you, buddy.
All right. Thanks a lot. Take it easy, guys. Bye.
We always let Bob down. He wants to be on stage and do comedy. And one time we had to edit for time, and this time just the recording shit the bed.
Poor Bob.
Yeah. Which I've never had my way. In my entire fucking career of doing radio, I never had a fucking recording that didn't work.
Yeah, it's really shitty.
And whatever. We're going to be, we're going to be in Montreal doing that hilarious show. Hey, Mark in Omaha, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Maha, buddies. I saw one of these evening shows in Savannah, and it was Fezzy when I first realized that he was like a dark person, kind of mean.
Yeah.
Because he and Flipper, and I guess it was Fast Eddie, they stood Paul O in front of like one of those 3-man slingshot water balloon launchers, and Fez was pulling it back, and you could see Flipper and Fast Eddie going, that's close enough, it's enough. And Fez, he just keeps trying to pull it back further and further, and he shot Paulo with this thing. It was maybe 10 feet away, and it hit him right in the chest. It took him off his feet. I swear to God, I thought he killed him.
There was always a moment of where you were like, oh, shit, that stunt. We probably should have practiced the stunt before we did it. But, yeah, Fez is brutal. He's brutal. When he was younger, he was just vicious, just always looking for something that somebody on the show had done so he could get even with them on the air. Oh, those guys it would be that thing where the work turns to shoot and then back to work, back to shoot.
That's a reoccurring thing.
Yeah. And it was always funny how everybody would put it behind it. But, you know, when you do a show like that, you're like, this can't last too long. You know what I mean? Like, this can't go on forever.
Right.
Sooner or later, someone's going to fall.
Yeah.
You know?
What was the stunt that made you, like, the most nervous?
All of them.
But
All
was
of
there
them.
one in particular, like, this, like, you agreed to do it or you decided to do it as a show and you went, fuck, this is not going to turn out and this has potential to be really bad?
I mean, one time we had this nightmarish, it was Paulo versus Don Vito, Ben Margera's uncle, who I knew growing up, and he used to come down. This is before there was a Jackass, and we were putting out uglier versions of what Jackass would become. But he did an eating contest. He brought down the 6-finger boy with him, and that was his thing. He had extra fingers. And he and Paulo were on the air eating chicken wings and drinking. And fucking Vito was drunk, Paulo was drunk, and they were punching each other. And we had, the Hair Club for Men was like a big sponsor for us, like hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we gave Paulo a free Hair Club for Men, and fucking Don Vito pulls it off his head. And you just see this fucking glue, just this glue, and it's fucking being pulled up. And he's going, his fucking hair is gone. And I'm going, no, it isn't. I'm on the air. It's not. Everything's fine.
Right.
That hair
Looks
really
great.
stayed. So we end the show. Everything's great. We put them back in the limo. And as soon as he gets in the limo, Don Vito fell fucking asleep with his head back. Him and the 6-finger boy. Don Vito fucking throws up and goes back.
Yeah.
Goes back down. So he asphyxiates, and they take him. I already go home. I'm like, God damn, what a nightmare! Fucking show. I'm glad that's over. I get the weekend to try it, and I get the call. Oh, we're at the fucking hospital. Don Vito flatlined. I get to the fucking hospital. I don't call anybody from the station. I don't do anything. I just go over there myself. And the doctor is like, no, there's zero brain activity. Zero. He's in a coma. And that's it. The brain shut down. The body, we're keeping the body moving. The brain is shut down. You're going to need to call his parents. I'm like, I can't call his parents. And I remember I called his brother-in-law, and I'm like, oh, yeah, they want his parents here. I'll pay for it. I'll fly him down, blah, blah, blah. I'm having the girl who worked with us making reservations and shit. And I'm fucking sitting next to this guy that I knew from my old neighborhood who is now fucking brain dead from a thing that I, feel responsible for. And it's not even like I'm sad or I'm crying. I'm just shocked. Just fucking shocked. And that motherfucker just sits up in bed and just starts pulling tubes out. And everybody, I'm like, he's awake. And the fucking doctors are coming in. They're like, don't pull his tubes out. And he's yelling at them, you're ruining my vacation. He's screaming, you're ruining my vacation. And he's trying to get out of bed. And they're saying, you were just in a coma. There was no brain activity. And he's like, it's because I was fucking sleeping. And we're like, please stay overnight. And he goes, I'm not fucking ruining my trip to Florida laying in here. And he was like unmanageable again. You know what I mean? Like he went like, oh my God, what a sweet dead man he is. To just like being this giant pain in the ass within seconds. And I remember seeing him in a gown, and he's holding onto his pants. He's not staying for anything. And he's shoving his bare feet into these puke-filled fucking Converse sneakers.
Oh, my God.
I always remember just seeing him. And he's like, I'm fucking partying. I'm down here. Fucking bust my ass up in Philly. Now I'm down here to fucking relax and enjoy myself. And he would not listen that he was in a coma. He fucking refused to believe anything.
It's insane. It's so insane. And then his family had already been contacted. Like everyone knew.
Yes. I had to call Bobby back and say, dude, call his parents. They're not coming down here. He's fine. They go, can you put him on the phone? And I go, he just ran out the door. He really wants to get some sun and enjoy some fucking drinks.
When I was a kid, before kids my age had seen The Godfather, everybody would be like, "Oh, your name's Vito," like Don Vito.
Well, you know what? He also gave himself that fucking nickname. I never called him that. We never called him that on there. And then he got his fucking nephew to call him that. But he tried that since he was a kid. It's me, Don Vito. Hi, Vitz. I forgot a bunch of those fucking stories. They're crazy.
Oh, those are craziest. It was like the craziest time.
Mike in Tampa, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie, and Gail, hello. And
hi.
Have you heard about Ted Nugent killing that rapist?
Not a word. This is the first I'm hearing this.
I saw it on social media. Then I Googled it and said there was a whole story. Apparently, he went to a Circle K near his home, got fuel, and something wasn't right. The girl was like looking.
Look, I before you even get into this, I'm looking. I'm not seeing anything on it.
I Googled it, and twice I've Googled it, and it came up.
But what was the news that had it?
I just saw it on social media on one of my feeds on Facebook, I think.
Yeah.
But then I Googled. I was like, that can't be true. I would have heard about it. And then I Googled it, and it came right up.
You know, there are fake sites that put shit like this.
I do understand that. So that's why. But I Googled it, and then it was the same story. So that's what I was wondering. Because I haven't heard it anywhere else.
Here's the number one story. Ted Nugent ready to rock Bonita Springs.
No, but if you...
That's pretty good.
Go down a little bit. If you Google Ted Nugent kills rapist.
See, that I didn't do.
But wouldn't that be bigger news than him rocking?
Seriously.
I don't think so,
Ted
Chris.
Nugent kills rapist. Apparently he had done the same thing before, and he had done 12 years in jail.
No, that's not true. No, the only trouble Ted Nugent ever had is when they had him in a stranglehold. That was his biggest problem. All right. So where do you got this at, Vito?
Newsfeed Hunter.
Newsfeed Hunter. And what was the headline?
Ted Nugent saves 2 women from being raped and murdered. Puts a killer in the ground. I don't really know Newsfeed Hunter.
I wish this is true.
It sounds like you got some fake news your way.
So Trump is right.
Yes.
You're right.
This proves it. Yeah.
This proves it.
Chris, let's get some stranglehold.
That's why I voted for him, because he's right.
I would have known right away that you voted for him, dude. You didn't even have to tell me. All right. Thank you very much, my friend.
All right, buddy. Hey, have a good one, man. Love you.
You too.
They also claim Bill and Hillary Clinton just became fugitives from justice.
All right. Whenever my liberal snowflake friends bitch to me about Ted Nugent, I'll go, yeah, but, stranglehold.
Stranglehold. Makes anyone like him. You just play this and you're like, okay, so, yeah, stranglehold. Yeah, I'll give you that. I mean, of course.
Kind of pretended he was Ozzy the way he was singing there for...
Baby!
He used to, I don't know whether he still does it, he used to play like in a Tarzan outfit, right? And then there would be a certain point where he would just get his bow and arrow out and light the end of it and then shoot a target on the other side of the arena.
So cool.
Get up, Tarzan guy. Right back, it's the Bennington Show. The Bennington Show. My laptop has been destroyed, and Vito apparently spilled water. All this because Chris is in the other room.
It's hilarious. Immediately, I just thought, if Chris was in this room and just saw how everything was different, he'd be like, this isn't how we do this.
Get everything back to the same way it's always been. I'm such a fucking bitch.
This is my favorite thing that Chris does when he's mad at someone else. So if Ron will ask a question, like, where is that paper I need? But he's asking it outward towards Vito before anyone can answer. Chris will go, Vito? Vito knows he has to respond. Vito, that's your thing. You're going to do that. No, he's a tense guy.
Well, Vito was funny. Like, I told Chris, send Vito down. I'm going to be, before the show, I'm having a smoke. So I watched Vito come out and sit at the wrong fucking table, right? He doesn't look around. So that was already making me laugh. And then I'm like writing to him. I'm up here. And he goes to the other, I go turn around. I have to tell him. I'm texting him, right?
Because I heard up here and I was like, oh, I guess he went up. And then Chris just said 48th Street. That's the only information I was told.
So then Vito comes walking up to me. I'm sitting at a table, and I see him like leaning backwards as he's coming, like I may have to run from Ron. Like I don't know why I've been called here. And he just has a look.
So you just start swinging on him?
Yeah.
I was looking for like plastic sheets.
Why, after all this time, are you nervous about me and you having a one-on-one?
I don't know. It's just I've never been called to the morning side before, so I was like going down, and I was like, this can't be good for me.
I was kind of laughing at the idea.
I told Chris what I wanted, why I wanted to do it too.
No, he said you're fucked, man.
Did you really say that?
He's a fucking liar, Rod.
You know he did. And the funny thing is, my train was running a little late, so I knew I was going to be like 10 minutes late, and I was just smiling like, Vito and Ron are together by themselves.
Well, as soon as I told him what it was about, he actually does this. Yeah, great. I mean, that is the kind of stuff that I'm interested in. Like, immediately.
Oh, this isn't about my death.
And it didn't occur to me till I saw him that this was a terrible thing for me to say. I need to talk to him today.
I had my chair motioned outward.
Yeah, he did. I'm
like
not even fucking kidding.
And then once he told me what it was, I turned in and I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. That is something I'm willing to discuss with my boss.
Well, you know how I always fire people downstairs.
That is your thing. That's your old Tuesday morning firing.
I thought my ID was being erased as I was downstairs.
You no longer have access to the building. Have you ever worked a place like that where they lock access down? Like immediately when you get fired, like they turn, like you can't use your swipe anymore. It's pretty intense.
Well, I worked at the Franklin Mint, so there was gold involved, so they were always like a big deal about it. But I make it a point never to bring personal stuff to any job because I never want to be the idiot carrying shit out. And if you're watching a movie, it's always one small box that they have. But normally a person with an office has tons of fucking shit.
Tons. And then like I worked somewhere once that whether you were being fired or you were quitting, that you walked into either your boss's office or HR.
Yeah.
That thing happened. And immediately your email was shut down, your passwords were changed, your thing, and you weren't even allowed to return to your desk.
No.
So you couldn't even put stuff into a box to bring down. So anybody who was ever quitting or leaving for a different job would usually like stand up, because it was one of those things that all the desks were in like a pool.
Yeah.
They would like stand up and like give you a look like they put their purse on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're going? Like, yeah, just make sure you take some of my stuff. I don't want security to forget anything. But goodbye, everyone. I'll say my goodbyes now because they won't let me back here. I'll never be in this building again.
Sorry, I made one small mistake and everything else has been forgotten about. I don't know why the street jokes didn't record properly. So they're taking me out of the building.
What about Chris's face behind the glass this morning? He was so nervous.
I know. He had puppy in the doghouse look.
It actually warmed my heart.
Yeah, I know.
Like a little sweet thing behind the glass.
He was adorable.
Like, he just looks in like they're having fun in there at least. Well, at least I'm quarantined in here where I can't infect anyone.
So I guess Vito and you were going to the prom this year then.
Sweet boy though. He really is.
Best.
Look at him.
Gotta love Chris Stanley.
I know I do.
Hey, Paul in Jersey. Paul.
Hey guys.
Hey.
I was actually going to tell a joke, but I actually have a funny story with what you were just talking about.
Too bad.
No, I'm sorry. A couple years ago, I was doing stuff for military police reports, and I worked in a place like that. And I wasn't that good at it, so I wound up getting fired. And the same thing happened where, like, they shut down your email, your card doesn't work right away. And then a couple months ago, the place gets raided and busted for weed. And apparently they were growing weed. And my reaction was, man, why didn't they let me on this?
Yeah. It's, Those things are always strange when you find out like they have a plan before they approach the person.
Right.
You know?
Right. They like thought the whole thing out.
Yeah, we're just not. We're going to make sure we get them to the street without there being any fucking problem.
Yeah, like all that email shutting down is just like to avoid people just like sending out a blast to all your.
By the way, these people suck cock, and I know my boss is having an affair with a kid.
I'm saving all my contacts.
Well, I guess you heard I got let go by that shit house. Yeah, people get fucking crazy. Well, when you get fired, it's weird. You do something every day. You're concerned with something every day. And then they're like, no more.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? That's like a thing you think like that's kind of either like a creative job or you could have secrets or obviously like a military job, which is like legitimate secrets. But you know what is another like intense quitting firing situation is in hair salons. Like have you ever been with a stylist and she's leaving the salon and she's like, do me a favor. Please give me your number. I'm quitting next week. I do want to keep you as a client, but I'm not elected.
Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? You know what I mean? Like they can't say that they're stealing clients from the business, but they want to keep you. Because how many people, you usually have the one person that you like there. It's not like,
it's not like, oh, I like this salon. I don't care who cuts my hair.
Yes, exactly. So you want to go wherever the person who cuts your hair is going. You don't want to be just like show up a month later and be like, wait, what? I don't trust anyone else in here. They're all idiots.
And it's true. You're that person you have a relationship with.
Yeah.
And then if you come back and you're like, where's Pete? And they're like, oh, Pete doesn't work here anymore. You're like, you know where he is? Nope. So I go, that's it between me and Pete. It's over.
I've been years with Pete.
Yeah.
Years.
There hasn't been any problems at all. But one thing great about that job is they can work anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world. Like, oh, yeah, we have a chair for you. And then you get part of the money.
I got a nice situation now. The girl that used to cut my hair, now she owns a coffee shop. And she set up a back room. And so she's doing hair in the back of the coffee shop. So now instead of that whole like salon vibe, it's like a one-on-one situation.
Yeah, but you're an illegal haircutting thing. They're going to kick the doors in one day.
It's very unavoidable kind of situation.
You know, the same people that do that, they do one other job too. They go after illegal barbers and beauticians, and then animal patrol. So the same, like they'll come in, arrest you for getting your hair cut like that, and put you in the back with fucking German shepherds.
Please.
Got
Going
me
to
in
the
that
pound.
stranglehold, baby. Liz said that sounds like a Stillwater song.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
She's totally right. We need to play some Stillwater one morning.
All right, they are now saying that Donald Jr. met with Russian government and then took pictures of his penis and sexted it to them.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then that's not allowed, or it is? Unprecedented?
He actually wrote on it, looks like Trump has built a new tower. I guess it must have been he was hard at the time. Well, there's now people saying, why won't Donald stick up for his son? Because his son is like, my dad had nothing to do with this. That kid fucking would love to do time for his dad.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Trump is just like, he never proved that he was my son. He had farmer's hands.
It's fucking so sad. Was I fast?
Did I kill him?
You were so fast, Don Jr. He never proved that he was my son. Gene Hackman, one of the great actors of all time.
The best.
The best.
He really is. I adore him.
Gene Hackman and the guy who played Mr. Drysdale in the Beverly Hillbillies. Two best actors that ever lived. And the Emmy goes to the man who plays the banker on the Beverly Hillbillies, Mr. Drysdale.
Wow, I didn't see this coming, but congratulations.
You just see Larry Tate clapping for him from Bewitched. Just a group of older guys from the original sitcoms. Wally Cox is giving a thumbs up. You deserve this. Got me in a stranglehold, baby. Look at the fucking news just blowing up with one crazy story after another.
Doesn't stop.
Yeah. Poor Tillerson. Every day of his life is a fucking nightmare. Why would you want that job?
Do they normally abbreviate that to Secchi of State?
Yeah, he's Secchi of State. That's what we always say. Sometimes I'll just call him Secchi.
I feel like Sec of State would be better, but Secchi of State, I've never seen them write it like that. Just call me Secchi.
Secchi. That's what his deal is now.
So I learned this really crazy. This is like one of those like bet you can't situations, like a physical thing that you can't do, and it's blowing my mind, and I don't understand why it works this way. So try this out for me. Lift your right foot.
As I sit, or do I gotta stand?
You could be sitting. Then make your foot in a circle clockwise. So keep it going clockwise. Yeah. And then in the air, write the number 6. Your foot flips. And
Holy
you
shit.
Can't continue.
I didn't even know that you said your foot flips until you said. I thought, well, I just showed her a kid did that. Did you guys try it?
All right, do it. So your foot goes clockwise.
Here, we'll all sit over here.
Yeah.
So then you can watch it.
I want to, yeah. Because I read it. All right, so here you go.
Down we go.
Right foot. Has to be the right foot up. Your right foot is going clockwise circles. And now draw the numbers. Immediately switch directions. Okay, what happens is, for some reason, your foot has to go counterclockwise as you draw the number 6 in the air. You can no longer keep your foot like a Vito's foot. Chris, are you trying it in there?
My legs go in every which direction. This is really weird.
Send Justin in, because I think the fact that Justin is native,
right,
might work differently. But there's two things I don't understand. A, why that happens, and B, who figured it out first? Right. Who was that idiot?
Who was the guy just making...
All right, Justin, clockwise. Now, don't even do anything with your finger yet. Okay. Just clockwise your foot. Perfect. Now make the number 6 in the air. That was weird. I know. And here's the thing. Until Gail pointed, I thought I had done it properly. I thought I had beat the system.
You're like, so this is stupid. I immediately did this. What is it like? Why is it that your brain just like won't allow it to happen?
Well, now, I don't think it's... Do you think it could be nerve or something instead of brain? Like, do we got things that are connected? You know, like they'll rub your foot and your fucking jaw will feel better?
Right.
Maybe it's one of those things. Pressure point.
Yeah, somebody did a pressure point on me for a headache that I was just shocked by.
Look, it's happened to me so many times, and every time I'm like, well, this is stupid. What I need is an aspirin. Oh, I feel better.
Yeah.
And the Chinese have been doing this for thousands of years. Thousands.
Do you know people like who just have chronic headaches and like you're just like, yeah, of course you do. You have another headache. But then if you're not a person who normally gets a headache, then you get it. You're just like, oh my God, this is how that person lives their life. Yeah. That's horrible.
I hadn't had a headache in years, and then I got too much sun on vacation. Went in, ate aspirin, and then laid in bed like at 9:30 at night until I woke up without a headache. Like the idea that I had a headache made me feel like a child.
It's very rare that I get them. I get like a travel headache where it's like dehydration from being on the plane and the dry air. And then I'm like, I'm not right. I have to sleep for 12 hours. I think mine was
dehydration. I'm in the sun. I'm not fucking drinking.
Yeah.
You know, loving life. loving life, so why not get a fucking headache for it?
Oh, you're on vacation?
You want to come to the beach? No, I can't. I'll get another headache. I can't I experience light like a vampire.
So you're thinking it's like a nerve thing.
Well, I'm saying that as a neurologist. I have a degree in neurology.
I just tried to do it in like really slow motion. Like if I go slow enough, surely I can do this.
I made the Roman numeral 6 and I still fucked up.
I think if you work at it, you can maybe do it, but like, why even spend the time?
So that you can actually win a bar bet.
The best is like, not only does your foot flip directions, it has a weird moment where your foot just like squiggles. Like,
you're just falling apart. That's how you find out that you are a replicant.
Right. If that person goes ahead and like is able to do it.
A turtle is lying on its back in the sun. That was the fucking craziest scene to me. Chris, when is that coming out? When is
mid-October?
I saw
that late.
Yeah, it's October movie. Yeah.
I saw the preview when I went to go see Baby Driver, which by the way I saw 7,000 previews. Like I was so overwhelmed with the amount.
I saw a half-hour fucking previews of Baby Driver.
I was so annoyed that like I actually started whispering before, I'm not even in the mood to watch a movie anymore. I feel like I've been sitting for too long. Because we got to the movie early because we wanted good seats and we thought, it was going to be a summer movie with a lot of people. So we got there early. Then it was, I'm not kidding, a solid 30 minutes of trailers. Like at least 30 minutes of trailer.
I saw it on the road, so I'm like, all right, we got to find this place. I'll try to eat my California Pizza Kitchen half salad as quickly as I can. You know what I mean? Like I'm stoned in the suburbs before I rush through this mall to find this. Got there like, fuck. Half hour.
Yeah.
Half hour and not one movie did I want to see. Not one.
Yeah. That was like the only one that was close to, okay, like this is something. Everything else. There was like, I was kind of thinking about it too. There was like a lot of horror movie trailers. And you're sitting there and you're not there to see a horror movie. Right. It seems a little invasive. Don't you think? Like if you're the kind of person who's like, not to be one of these sensitive millennial type, but if there is a trigger for you, like if you don't want to see a scary movie, like trailers are fucking scary.
Look, here's the thing. They would do that. Nobody complains. You're seeing people getting chopped up. If they showed a pair of tits, everyone's like, this is outrageous.
This is
How
sick.
dare you motherfuckers bring these tits into this place?
There was like a really interesting thing. So this comes up a lot, this fucking everyone's offended by tits and breastfeeding. So there's this actress, and I don't watch the show, but she's on the zombie show. What is that? Walking Dead.
Right.
So she's a Walking Dead actress. So she puts up a picture on her Instagram of her breastfeeding her kid. And immediately, of course, there are people who are going, this is inappropriate, or people going, you're just doing this for attention, like all this kind of stuff. The people who are offended by this, most likely, if you follow this actress on Instagram, you probably watch the show Walking Dead, and you're totally fine with people getting their heads cut off, people getting eaten alive, like all this crazy shit. And then to see a baby's face obscuring a breast, by the way, it's like literally you can't see her breast.
You don't see anything.
Here's the thing, too. This is what tits are for.
Yeah.
They're not for fondling and licking and jizzing on. Right. They're for baby getting food.
Yeah. They're little baby food machines. And then when they're used as baby food machines, you're like, look at that slut's trying to get everyone to see her titties.
There should be jizz all over those nipples. But yeah, we're fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Nuts.
Sex makes me there's nothing about sex that makes me uncomfortable on screen. Violence, depending on my mood, can be like, wow, I really wasn't thinking I was going to see that.
I'm so easygoing. I like violent sex.
You like everything.
Yeah.
You're not like one of these PC sensitive.
No, I'm actually a little too extreme to enjoy any kind of regular romance. I need some really horrifying stuff.
Well, I started to watch the show American Gods. I'm only like two episodes in, and I'm like, I'm not sure I can go on. Like, it's pretty violent, and I'm not sure.
But it's fantasy violence.
Yeah, but still, there's like split.
Dude, it gets
gore.
more disgusting as you watch.
Like, even there was like an initial intro of it, of like the Vikings, and I was like, is this gonna be like this, or what's gonna happen?
It is like that all the way through.
So I'm considering I might have to throw in the towel on it because it's messing my little tummy up.
Just do what Chris does and go read the Wikipedia page.
Just find out what happens.
Just find out all the scary parts.
Here's the Wikipedia page. It turns out that they were old gods fighting against new technology gods. Is that okay? Should I book him? Should I tell Spencer that I'm booking him? He said to me the other day, Spencer wants to know if you want to book. It was our intern, Spencer. I'm not answering his questions.
Bird won't get off my back.
Spencer was great yesterday talking with Pit Doc. Oh, I wanted to ask Pit Doc something if he's around today, too. Because I was watching the Tucker Carlson get-together. And Robert Kennedy Jr. was on there after being mocked on the John Oliver show because he has some questions about vaccines. And he's like, why do liberals who hate corporations all the time, this is RFK saying this, just give in to these vaccines? And I'm like, if you question vaccines at all, you're treated like a nut.
Yeah, I'm not even so sure that it's like always left and right, like across the board. I just know that it's like what your opinion on it is extreme. The people who do not trust vaccines seem to be really freaked out by it. And the people who are just infuriated that those people exist. And I see it on social media all the time, like on Facebook, people who just like get into like crazy wars. Like, look at this fucking idiot who says you shouldn't vaccinate your kids. And then that person, responds.
I mean, I would never go so far to say, don't vaccinate your kids. I would only say, there's a lot more vaccinations for a baby born today than when I was born. I think I only got a couple. I think I got smallpox and polio as a little kid. That's it.
And the polio, you didn't get it as an infant, right? You were like a toddler, right?
Well, I got that as a sugar cube. I didn't even get that as a shot.
So what's the one where they cut your skin?
I thought that was smallpox.
Oh, that's smallpox.
I might be wrong, though. But when I was a little kid, because they don't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody was always like, let me see your vaccine, like it was a fucking tattoo. And little girls always had it on their thighs, and it was crazy sexy to me.
Yeah.
I'm not even making that up as like a 5-year-old. I say, let me see your fucking vaccine. They were like this. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Show it off a little bit. See how you can move it. But I don't know why we have as many vaccines as we did. But Robert Kennedy Jr. was saying, I'm not even against vaccines, but why can't we talk about it? Why can't we say
that seems healthy enough? I mean, I'm all for always checking whatever your doctor recommends for you, your child, your partner. Check on what they recommend.
But here you go. They give out like 86 vaccines or something crazy now, right? According to him. And I'm like, I know people who tell me they can't eat bread or milk. You know what I mean? How do we know? Because I remember when you got your vaccine, your fucking temperature went up so high, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And you were screaming. And I was like, I was at home alone with you. And I'm like, oh, motherfucker, I'm in big fucking trouble here. And I remember I just put you in your room, shut the door, I went out and got a drink, and I felt better.
I don't think that's what you should do with an infant.
Yeah. I just fucking started the car and got out of there. But, that was, seriously, and I'm going to call them back to the doctor, and they're like, no, this is very normal. She's got, like, whatever the disease is. She has it right now.
We just gave her a little bit of a disease. Is that okay?
Just a little bit of smallpox?
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what a vaccine is.
Yeah.
It's a little smallpox for you to deal with. Just a little bit.
Just a
We
taste.
swear the cells are dead.
Why, when you get a little bit, does your body go, okay, now I will fight smallpox? But not if it, came in later. All right, we got Pit Doc on for us. Pit Doc, thank you for lunch yesterday, buddy.
Thanks, Pit Doc.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And thanks so much for that book. That's amazing.
No problem. Basically, the problem is that you get these, rich. It's a rich white person disease. That's the problem, because rich white people think that their child gets sold a bill of goods about their kid's going to turn autistic if they get too many vaccines or they get a fever from a vaccine, which is normal for vaccines. Basically you're getting immunized to it, but people like Kennedy, he's basically going overboard, and he's causing problems, because what you're looking for with all these things is what we call herd immunity. You want to get at least 90% of kids who are vaccinated. Otherwise, you're going to get outbreaks and epidemics of measles and everything like that they've had in like Wisconsin and Minnesota, and that's all of white communities, or certain black communities, like Somali communities, that have been told by groups like Kennedy's groups not to get vaccinated.
So you're totally anti on whatever Robert Kennedy is trying to do.
They've done so many studies, Ronnie, that not proven. Now, they still don't know what causes autism. I think if you get a viral symptom and you have to spike a temperature the right way, kids can turn autistic. But they haven't been able to tie that to vaccines, but they'll do it anyway, because you can get a reaction to a vaccine.
So you think that a lot of autism comes from not being born that way, but something happened when the baby was little?
Well, we still don't know what causes it. It could be something, could be corn syrup for all we know. That's why autism is going up. Who knows? We don't know the causative agent yet of what causes autism. And it could just be a simple reaction to an infection, a simple infection, not necessarily a vaccine, but an infection or a viral syndrome. So we don't know yet.
Wow.
But it's not vaccines. That's the one thing we have studied.
So you're thinking that Robert Kennedy Jr. an alarmist?
Yes.
Okay.
And he's hurting people.
All right. Thanks.
Because very old people and very young people who don't have the vaccine, or the vaccine isn't good anymore, those are the people who come down with diseases. You got little kids coming down with measles and stuff and dying.
All right, buddy. I appreciate it. Peace.
Take it easy, Ronnie.
I saw him last night talking about this with Tucker. He's like, why can't we just talk about it? But you see, here's Pit Doctor, a doctor, and he's like, no, he's causing trouble for kids. Now, the whole weird thing, too, of when you're a baby, if something happened to you, that would change your whole life, right, from one fever. When I was a child, I had a fever, and my hands felt like two balloons. Later, I was comfortably numb. That's all I'm bringing up. But that is the weirdest. That's the weirdest part of this, of him saying this to me.
Yeah.
Is that we don't know. Like, I would thought the people would be born autistic, not catch it.
Yeah, it's very it's weird, and then it's one of those things where you're like, well, are we just more aware of it now? Is that why we're seeing this level of increase? But apparently not. Like, because I was wondering that thing where it's just like, well, are we just better at understanding what autism is now?
I don't think we know. If you watch this thing I was talking about, it seems like Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine have a little bit of autism. You know what I mean? Like, they compulsively get involved in this one idea and work it. They're not like us, where they're going like, well, I tried it and it sucks, so I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, they'll just keep doing stuff. And it reminds you of, like, when you start to see Bill Gates or the Facebook guy talking, you're like, hey, is he okay?
Right.
He's wearing the same shirt every day. You know what I mean? Like, there's a couple things like that. Mike in New York. All right, your phone blows, dude. Yeah.
You there? You got me?
Yeah, I think.
Hello?
You should try to call back, because your line's really bad. Hey, here's our buddy Rob. What's up, Rob?
Hey, guys. Good to talk to you.
Good.
Well, the original paper that came out that started all this hubbub, and everybody put all their weight behind, I think over two or 3 years ago, came out as fake. They debunked it. The guy said, "Hey, this is a false paper. Sorry to cause all this problem."
What debunked which side of it?
Well, the paper that was written, it said, listen, it was the one of the measles, one of the 3-in-1s that we're giving children is causing this upbeat in autism. And then you got all kinds of, then money starts flowing into it. And that person came out and said, listen, I got to come clean. That was a false paper. I got paid to put that paper out.
All right, thanks. Again, I mean, Robert Kennedy is smart enough to hear that and look into it. And I'm not sticking up, but it does seem weird that we're at a point where you can't even discuss this.
Yeah.
People get really fucking crazy.
Parents
really,
especially
really
are like so emotional
it's
about
terrifying.
it. Yeah.
It's terrifying whether you don't know whether they give your kid a vaccine or not. Here's Jim in California.
Hey, hi guys. Long time listener, first time caller. I have an autistic child who's 12 years old. He was born deaf, and I don't have any problem with the vaccinations. It's what the preservative that was in there is called Tamarisol, and it's mercury based. My son was deaf, was born deaf, and was in the system. And they said he was going to meet all his markers. Everything was fine. He had the MMR, which is the measles, mumps, and rubella vaccination, and also 2 flu shots within a space of about 60 days.
Mm-hmm.
And all those vaccinations had Tamarisol, which is a mercury-based preservative, to increase the shelf life. 6 months after that, he's diagnosed with autism. I'm an older trial lawyer. You don't have to be very smart to understand that he's okay here. He's in the system. They've done the test. He's meeting his markers. Other than deafness, he's fine. He has these vaccinations with the mercury. Then he's got autism.
Mm.
I know some of the studies have been debunked. I also know that when you look at mercury poisoning, it has very similar, there's almost a 1-to-1 synchronicity with the autism systems as there is with mercury poisoning. My own belief, which is not documented anywhere, but my own belief is that there is a genetic predisposition towards autism, and there's an environmental switch, whether it's mercury, whether it's something else, that flicks that switch and causes the autism. And there's also people who say, well, it isn't a question that autism is increasing in the country. It's that there's been a change in the diagnosis of autism. They have it on the spectrum now. But all I know is that when you look at states like California and New Jersey and New York, the rise in autism is precipitous. And the big problem is that you have to get funding for these children because it's rising. It's not that it's treatable, but it is manageable if you catch it early and you get these kids the right therapy. And you be sure that if you have a child in school, that you challenge the school district on the services that you're allowed to get. Under federal law and state law, you're entitled to certain services. You're entitled to behavioral support in the school. And we can't fix it, but we can certainly manage it and allow these kids to have a better life and have a functional life. And
Jim,
that's my 2 cents.
Jim, thanks so much for calling us. It's
You're welcome.
Yeah. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. Here is Will. You're on Bennington. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, Ron. I have a son. He was diagnosed when he was about 4 years old, and we actually did the whole thing. He's on the spectrum right now. He's got Asperger's, and what happened is that I do think that there's some issue with all these vaccines. I really do think that it's caused by it. He got it right before. Around 99, 2000 or so, he had some injections, and they had this program for vaccinations. It was called Living Well Baby. Basically, what they do is that they give like multiple shots at the same time, which I was really terrified of because I never really heard about that. about 4 or 5 injections at the same time. He had a reaction, and it was high fever and everything else. And before that, he was a happy baby and everything else. And then all of a sudden, we started seeing him do some weird things where he was just spacing out and everything else. And his language was very delayed, and we didn't really get him diagnosed until the age of 4 or 5 years old. So, there's got to be something to this, and I know that there's a lot of folks that are debating on this, and they say that there was no evidence supporting the claims whether they were actually that these shots had anything to do with it or not. But I really think that there's something to it, and there was nobody in my family that's been diagnosed with autism, and my wife's family as well, and all of a sudden, we have a child. I mean, he's high functioning. He's doing well, and a lot of schooling helped out, and a lot of ABA therapy and everything else that really does help a lot. But poor kid's going to be struggling for many years to come, and just making a living for himself. He's always going to feel like he's behind the ball here because of having autism. So, I really do feel like there's something to this. There's a lot of doctors that just want to say, nah, there's nothing to it. But, not everybody's cookie cutter. Unfortunately, there's just a lot more shots, just like you were saying before. Yeah. There's a lot more shots than we had when we were kids.
Yeah, I just didn't have. Yeah, I didn't have this amount. All right, thanks, Will. This is Jim in Canada. Jim.
Yeah, Ronnie, I'm just calling bullshit on the guy that called earlier about the mercury levels and that. I realize they were in the shots, but if that's the case, any kid that had autism is obviously going to test higher for mercury because he's been mercury poisoned, isn't he? Does that not make sense? And then the guy that called before, the original study that came out, it was a bullshit story. The guy basically did his research on about 12 cases, and then he just made other cases. So, I mean, this started the whole thing, and you can't forget Jenny McCarthy, who fucking went shit wild on Hollywood and started spreading all this stuff because her son was autistic.
Yeah.
So, I mean, she's as much to blame as anybody else.
Well, I don't know if anybody is to blame, but it does seem like we have this problem. And, like Pit Doc says, we just don't know yet. This is Dr. Lawson. Dr. Lawson, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
Good.
I just mentioned that, yes, thimerosal has been removed from vaccines in the U.S. for quite a long time now, and I don't go more than 1 or 2 months. I'm an obstetrician, and I don't go more than 1 or 2 months without an article about something being a potential cause of autism. It's multifactorial, more than likely, and yeah, there probably is a genetic predisposition for people to get it because we'll see it recur in families oftentimes. We'll see maybe 2 children or 3 children have either autism or Asperger's or something like that. And the patients will change their behavior, they'll change their diet, but yet they still get it. And probably there's a lot of things that are in the brain that we're predisposed to. Some folks, for example, are predisposed to Lou Gehrig syndrome and seizures and things like that. So there is a genetic predisposition, but there's other environmental factors that probably affect it.
And it is true that there's more people that this is affecting now than years ago, or are we just picking up?
Well, that and just like with ADHD, more parents are being proactive in taking their kids in and getting diagnosed earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And because they now have the spectrum as opposed to just looking at the severe end of it, you are picking up more children who have mild autistic features.
So that was just stuff we were like, oh, well, he's kind of an oddball. He collects things. You know what I mean? We wouldn't say
yeah, exactly.
He was on the spectrum.
Right.
When I was younger, we were just like, oh, he's kind of quirky. You know what I mean? Which is,
right.
To me, what makes life interesting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. There seems to be this thing of that you want your kid to excel and be even more than normal. Instead of going, like, I know plenty of dudes, you know what I mean? I have friends with people, I'm like, well, he's very quirky. Very, very quirky. But I don't feel like, oh, we got to get a cure for him.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. But I do feel for the the parents who particularly are feeling like this is an indicator that their child was affected in this way, because it's overwhelming. It seems like the decision is incredibly overwhelming.
You mean for a parent?
Yes.
Yes.
It's fucking terrifying.
It was that and cutting your kid's dick are the two things.
Yeah.
You're just like, I don't know what's right.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, that's one of those things where you're thinking like, why are we doing socially?
Right.
And then you're like, but that's also a very important factor.
Right. Here is Jeremy in Ohio. Jeremy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man.
One, if mercury caused autism, what's up with Pepper Hicks over there?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't say, I mean, Chris, if you had to say, I would say most of us are dealing with ADD stuff.
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact that I don't know for a fact, like I was not diagnosed that, but I have aspects of my personality that, sort of you can check the boxes and go, okay, that makes sense.
But it's very hard to do this job if you don't have ADD. You're moving around from one thing to the next. You can't ever say, all right, let's take our time and figure out what we're going to do with this next phone call. I really do.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you just got to jump around and do shit.
And then also there's like that. And then even if I read like about, mild cases of autism, I'm just like, pressure? Wanting to cover my head and ears? I do that all the time.
Well, don't you think that we all have something like that makes us feel better? Mine is any mood-changing thing that there possibly is. Tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and food. All seems wonderful to me.
In excess?
I just don't want to feel like I would feel if I didn't do something. I want to feel like I feel like this, because I did something. Kevin in Boston. Kevin.
Hey, guys. I love the show.
Thanks.
So the main reason that people get so upset about this is that, like, the herd immunity thing that Pittock mentioned, that's important because if you don't have a certain saturation of the population that is immune to the disease, these people, there are a certain percentage of the population that literally cannot receive the immunization, even if they wanted to. It would kill them. So by having a certain amount, a critical mass of the population immunized, it protects those people. And there's literally no, like he mentioned, there's literally no studies linking autism that are viable at all. So, I mean, it's literally just Facebook article paranoia. There's no justifiable reason to put these lives at risk.
So you really think that a lot of people even talking about it is because of Facebook? That a lot of shit gets spread around?
It's like the classic example of how easy it is for nonsense to easily pervade the social sphere because everyone can live in their own little natural news echo chamber and believe whatever horse shit they feel like.
I believe that could be true, but what do you feel about, somebody who's saying, who's a parent who called in and is saying, look, I know I'm sitting here, I'm experiencing what the before and after was for my child.
It's very, very right. Very, very right. The guy who called from LA who said, look, I'm a guy who does this kind of work, and I can tell you some cause and effect, and it's his own life, and he's certainly going to know more about it than me, or some Facebook study that I just happened to say and jump on top of. Here's Danny in Tampa.
Hey, Ronnie, how you doing, sir?
Good.
Listen, my wife teaches special education here in Tampa, and she has a theory, especially with the military, I don't know if there's a scientific study or not, but there seems to be a huge amount of military children that have special needs and autism, and she feels like it's all not immunizations, but, in the military we have to get all these shots to go overseas and things, that maybe it's doing something genetically to the parents to pass down to the kids.
That's kind of a interesting theory because you used to just go to South America. You wouldn't need 250 different things thrown into your body. And what does that do to the next generation? I mean, we don't know. Jay, Connecticut.
Hey, how are you, Bennington? Good to see you. Good to hear your voice. That's actually a very interesting point. I am a pediatrician in Connecticut, and I am a shot giver by nature, so I administer these vaccines. We have not had mercury in the vaccine since 1996, except for the dose vials of flu vaccine, and that we just give the once a year in the fall. Someone mentioned mercury poisoning earlier. Mercury poisoning, by ingesting mercury from fish and things like that, it's a completely different kind of mercury than is what the mercury is in the vaccines. The mercury in the vaccines, I mean, if you think about it, up until about 7 years ago, thimerosal was a preservative in Visine eye drops. So people were exposed to this. It really is a lesser exposure now than it was in 1996 when the autism rates, were 1 in 10,000. Now they're 1 in 100, 1 in 80. And clearly the vaccines aren't the cause of it. And when people continue to blame the vaccines, that just means resources are being diverted from finding out the real cause.
So let's say this, you had somebody newborn, you would say, get the vaccines. You as a pediatrician, you would say, get the vaccines.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thanks so much, Jay. I appreciate your call. I'd love to keep talking about this to the end of the show, but Sam fucking Morril is here, What's he want to talk? Sports and his new big job at MSG Television. So we'll break and be back with truly one of the funniest comedians out there today, Sam Morril. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey. Sam Morril is here with today's Look at Sports.
Yeah.
How are you, buddy? Congratulations on the new gig.
Thanks for having me. This is my favorite show to do, man.
Well, I was listening. I would believe you, except for I heard you on the other day with Sam and Jim, and you're like, "This is my favorite show."
I didn't say that,
but I was listening tight. I was out on the road listening to you talk about your new gig that you have. Tell everybody about it.
So I'm doing this show on MSG. It's 4 nights a week. I got Anthony DeVito as kind of like my Andy Richter.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a kind of a monologue, but it's very loose. It's just us being idiots, kind of. Because every sports show is like X's and O's and stats, and I'm so bored with like these telangelical preacher type sports guys who are just yelling over each other. And then, so we kind of do it more from our angle is we're the annoying guys at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
We're not like the X's and O's stats guys.
What time every night?
It's 11 p.m. on MSG, and if you don't get MSG, it's on the MSG Network's Facebook fan page.
Oh, cool.
So you can watch the whole episode.
Now, do you decide what you want to talk about? Can you talk about football during baseball season?
We can talk about whatever. Yeah, there's a few things that they're just like, please don't. I think they're a little paranoid because they've seen my comedy, but they...
I would be too.
So they're just like, please don't do anything that you would normally do.
Yeah.
All right, that makes sense.
Well, one of the biggest, most exciting days we ever had was years ago. Walt Clyde Frazier comes in, and he is still the man.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, he still can't walk down the street in New York City.
Part of that's because he's wearing a cow suit.
Yes.
That plays
true.
a role in that.
But I had read about there used to be this great saloon in New York called Elaine's, and you'll see it in Woody Allen movies and if Jack Nicholson, whatever. It was nothing but stars. And one night they said the door opens up and Walt Frazier walks in. They said, you could have heard a pin drop. Just that all these guys were this is back when he was still playing. This is how much he changed the game of
He's
basketball.
The best.
Yeah, he was.
We had him on the show and he was so cool. He talked to us for a while and I could tell he was like a little bit like, I don't know, like he was kind of annoyed to be doing an interview, but then I made sure not to ask him hacky questions.
Right.
I'm shocked that no one asked him for advice. None of the players, it's like this ego, they get this huge chunk of change and they're just like, I don't need to ask the last guy that won a championship in the city advice.
That's really interesting, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it says a lot about, the arrogance of younger players.
Now, do you think that they would still feel that way towards Kobe or Jordan, but they just weren't around when Frazier played?
I think you're probably right. It's that he played in the 70s, but he was a great player.
Unbelievable. He's a game-changing player.
And clutch. Had the greatest Game 7. He had 36 points and 19 assists in Game 7 against Chamberlain. I mean, that's insane.
Well, if you even look back to those days, right, the 70s basketball, it was almost like every team was an all-star team. You look at the Celtics and the lineup they had. You look at the Lakers, the 76ers, because there was less teams. You could put 4 great guys on any team at any time.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And not to mention they were all-stars, but they were so much more humble because part of it is these guys had roommates on the road. Like, Walt Frazier roomed with Phil Jackson in hotel rooms.
They also caught commercial flights back then.
Yeah.
So they were just like waiting.
And took the subway.
Yeah. There would be a 7-footer just waiting. You know, is the plane
They had
here
to
yet?
deal with public masturbators on the train, just like us. Yeah, Walt is...
They know I need an aisle seat, right, for my legs.
Walt is the cool, and he talks about how they don't move the ball anymore. And I was like, these guys were great players and they all shared the ball. And now it's all about like players getting their contracts. And
yeah.
I don't know. It's a bummer because he gets it. He really is a wise guy.
Well, the same thing is true of baseball when they're like, why would I learn to bunt? It's going to cost me money. Every bunt will cost me money. I need to swing for the goddamn rafters. I can't think team. Or I'll be out of here because the same people who tell me to think team will look at my stats and they'll get rid of me.
And you say it costs you money just because like it doesn't do anything for your stat.
Yeah,
it doesn't read on your stat sheet as anything impressive, and a lot of them are getting paid for statistics, and they're getting paid so much in the NBA now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's like there'll be a player and you're like, I didn't even think that guy was good. He got an $80 million contract.
Right, he gets paid more than the best NFL players.
Right,
and it's so. The worst sport to go into is the NFL for money. And for how long your career is going to last. And nothing is more popular.
Because that's probably the sport that crushes you the fastest physically.
If you're smart, you get out at 28 and you get into broadcasting. Because we had Justin Pugh on yesterday from the New York Giants, the lineman. He's on again tonight. He's awesome. He's really, really cool. And I am an idiot. So I was like, it'll be funny if I challenge him to try to block me from sacking Anthony. So I challenge him and I run at him, and with seriously like 3 fingers, he pokes me and I flew like 4 feet, and I was like, what the fuck happened to my ribs? That's from like 2 fingers.
Yeah, and this is the difference between this is what Chihuahua feels like with a Saint Bernard, and you're like, yeah, we're both dogs. When you are, I've stood on the sidelines at an NFL game before. And I gotta fucking tell you, it's frightening to be on. Like, you hear it, you see just grasses flying. It sounds like you never pick up on that on TV. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't even think I could coach. Well, I don't think I could coach out of fear.
I've never had that experience, but I I've sat behind the goal at a soccer game. Yeah. And was just like, for a sport that everyone's just like, oh, pussy, what are you, European? Yeah. Like, they would miss the goal and it would hit the wall like a fucking cannon. And I was like, I'm afraid I'm going to be beheaded sitting here. Like, I was like, that actually, the speed and the power that would happen.
Yeah, Spain actually, they treat it like ISIS. They hold your head up. If they,
but you also, when you have the, floor seats at a basketball game, you hear... just slapping, just constant.
Oh my God.
Slapping. You're like, I didn't know.
Just like them with their hands on
just
each
other constantly, and soccer's the same way. They're just hitting each other all the time.
It's so American to be like pussies. The best conditioned athletes on the planet.
Yes. And it's the game that everybody on the planet plays, right? So when you get to that point where you're like one of the best in the world, you're literally talking about the best in the entire world.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean, basketball players now, you see, like, if you're like a 7-footer with any skill, you can make so much money. Yeah. You can get like a $60 million contract and be like, okay.
Yeah, and you could teach somebody to rebound. You can't teach anybody to be 7 feet. That's the big thing. Like, once you get that guy, it's the same with the big offensive lineman. You're just like, well, we'll try to teach him about, but he's 380 pounds. Right. And he's 6'4", and I think we can teach him something. You know? I think we can work this out. All right, when you were a kid, who's your hero?
My guys were Ewing and Starks and Mason and Oak. So those were like my 4 guys in the Knicks. And, I had Starks on a rehearsal, so I think he's going to come back. He was so cool. I think he's a little shy. Yeah. So it's weird. I mean, I was like trying to show him that I'm a huge fan because it's tough. So I was like, I'm going to show up in my Nick Starks jersey from when I was a kid. It still fits. I haven't filled out yet. And, I showed up and I was just, kind of trying to chat him up and before the interview get him loose. And he was pretty cool. Like I got a great story out of him. He said that one time they beat the Lakers and they were flying back and he's like, and they got drunk on the plane and got in each other. That was their team. Like you don't hear about this. I mean, this was like before Twitter. So if this was in the Twitter age, that would be like the front page. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like,
everybody has to watch themselves.
Like Patrick Ewing and Starks face to face about the fight, but now, then it's just they were just a tough team. They were really tough.
And they could be on their own. I remember when I read Ball 4 when I was a kid, which was a book about the real Yankees. And up to that point, I had only read, the Babe Ruth story and all those kind of books that they give little boys. And the first time I'm hearing about whores and drugs and drinking, and I'm like, I like baseball more than ever. You know what I mean? And that's the thing, that this was never an innocent thing. These were always highly competitive guys.
It makes you like them better, the fact, like when you hear them, alcohol or whatever, or coke and baseball, whatever, but then you hear that, and I kind of like them more because the performance-enhancing drugs, that makes them better. But alcohol, like, to play, like Mickey Mantle,
yes,
that he would be that shit-faced and show up and hit 2 home runs and make a one-handed
Then looked
grab.
like he never did a sit-up. You know what I mean? He was built the way he was. But you know what else amazes you? You don't realize it when you're a kid, is that these guys are playing with fear all the time. The fear that this career is going to be over. You know what I mean? That they get, like, I don't last long at this. I'm part of it. Jen, you dated a professional basketball player, right?
I did.
Who?
I'll tell you off air.
All right, well, just give us the team.
I'm the Magic.
Orlando Magic, so no pressure.
The wheels are moving. I'm thinking who it could be. You look like a Nikola Vucevic type of girl. I don't know.
Can you just, take a look at the Magic and the Hall of Fame players that they had and left as soon as they could. They had some of the most...
What's their fault?
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't match, they didn't match. Shaq, I think, would have stayed, but LA paid him so much more.
Yes, they're Orlando. They're a little town. They don't... The highest building there is 7 stories.
It's only so many times you can go to Universal Studios before you're like, we're the strip clubs here. Jesus.
Yeah. But how long were you with him?
I'd say like couple months, 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did he enjoy the game, or was it just a job for him?
No, well, he ultimately wanted to be a broadcaster. So
how's that going for him? I'm trying to get clues.
Is he still in the league?
Yeah, he's still in the league.
Nice.
He's young. He was like a rookie when I met him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
But that's a lot of pressure. Yeah, that's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
To be a rookie in that league.
Yeah. He was like very like quiet when I first met him, and then like throughout the season, he started getting really like I guess I'll say my friend dated Big Baby.
Oh, wow.
That's
So,
great.
He kind of took him under his wing.
It's the worst nickname for a boy. This is my boyfriend. He wears a diaper.
I like that you call your friend out, though.
Big
But
Baby.
her, I won't protect.
I saw that movie, Big Baby Driver. I thought it was amazing in that. So, do you remember when Big Baby played in college? How he was like one of the most popular players in the country?
Because he still had the chub on him, and he was good.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not love a guy that's kind of? I mean, that's why I love those players who get fucked up, because you're like, well, I can't do 800 sit-ups and run laps, but I could drink. You know, it makes me connect to these players.
I always like Kruk, and he had a 300,
Yes.
I think, and he would show up with a cheeseburger to the game. They're like, dude, what are you fucking doing?
What the Kruk?
Yeah.
What the Kruk?
He was just, I'm going to get.
When you talk about those old Yankees teams, like David Wells was always getting disciplined because he's like, I was hungover when I threw that perfect game.
true.
And we're like, what? You were hungover when you did the hardest thing in sports? I mean, I love
Wells
the
was Kenny Powers. He really,
Kenny Powers is my favorite. He's my favorite fictional character because he's not fictional. He's a piece of every player.
Yeah.
Little John Rocker, little David Wells.
Yeah, that was one of the most hilarious. That opening episode that they did was better than most movies.
Just the opening montage of him losing his shit, and he can't throw fastballs anymore, and he's just giving the fans "fuck you." I remember when Jack McDowell did that for the Yankees. He's at the fans are booing him. He goes "fuck you," and you're like, "What? I didn't know you could do that. You could just tell the fans "fuck you."
My favorite is like in that first episode when he's just like raging down the hallway, and his like nephew is just like watching, and then suddenly he's just standing in the doorway. That's so fucking funny. That's the best visual joke ever.
Well, that literally is I mean, to write that joke, you had to do coke. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And there's two fucking things. That one where he's just staring at the kid, and the other where him and his friend are getting coked up, and he's like, "No, I definitely want to get more into that, man. I'm so fucking glad." And they're going back and forth where he says, "I want to follow widespread panic more." This is something I got to get into, and I'm like, dude, no. But that opening episode where it ends with him just on a jet ski where he thinks he's cool, there's nothing funnier than a guy who thinks he's cool. It's the best fucking bit ever.
It's really good.
Oh, I love that.
Big Baby.
Big Baby's the worst nickname. Yeah, because when you break it down, you're like Alan the Answer Iverson. That's great. Paul Pierce, the Truth. Big Baby. That's what you're giving me. I'm a fat kid.
Did you hang out with Big Baby?
Yeah, that's how I met the rookie.
Your guy. The rookie.
Okay, so now it's so he was. It was when he was in Orlando. Was it? I'm gonna say Courtney Lee.
No.
Okay, he's a handsome guy. So I'm no. Okay, I'm gonna figure it out.
Write it down. He won't say it on the air.
Okay. Don't say it on the air.
I won't say it on the air. I'm getting close. This is like the best version of Guess Who ever.
Sam Morril's in studio. People Talking Sports and other stuff airs Monday through Thursday.
Other stuff. I love that.
I didn't name the show. I just say that.
People Talking Sports and other stuff airs Monday through Thursday, 11 p.m. on MSG Network.
And if you don't have it, it's on Facebook on the MSG fan page. Oh, okay. Still in the league. That's impressive.
Yeah.
I won't say it, but that's...
I'm going to look him up since I don't...
So you don't know?
Yeah, no.
This doesn't give it away, but the Knicks did talk about acquiring him. But they've talked about acquiring everyone. But the Knicks talked about acquiring this guy that
Were you
hated.
excited? Like you could end up seeing him in town again?
That was like his dream to, like, his favorite city to play basketball with.
Wow.
I mean, this is... New York is...
He had a big year last year. I thought he played very well last year.
And people forget because the Knicks have been bad for so long, but this is a unbelievable
The Knicks
place.
are bad?
Yeah.
What? I have to Kellyanne Conway my way through this interview now that
Oh, you're not allowed to say.
Well, look, they've done a lot of positive things this offseason, some negative. I mean, I like the kid they drafted a lot, even though I know nothing about him. I like that he's like a defensive, his rep is as a defensive stopper, and that he's a French kid. He's playing pro ball overseas. This is kind of how they found Porzingis. So, he's in a league where a lot of players have thrived, like Nick Batum, Rudy Gobert, Boris Diaw, Tony Parker. He's in that same league. So the Knicks fans know better now. They booed Porzingis, who's now their favorite. So now it's like you just don't boo the foreign guy to be on the wrong side of history.
I love that guy because he was like, "Go ahead and boo. I don't care.
Yeah, he doesn't give a shit.
I'm gonna prove myself."
Porzingis is the coolest. Like I love him. I met him at a game last year for a second. I was courtside in a Porzingis shirt. And no one dresses like that. I probably thought I was a Make-A-Wish kid or something. Like, why is this kid wearing my shirt courtside? And he came over to me and he just kind of smiled and he gave me a fist bump. And I'm 10 years older than him or whatever. Right. 9 years older than him. And I'm still like, oh my God, he touched me. And then he had like the best game of his career. And he had like 35 points. I was like, oh my God, Porzingis. And, my agent was like who? Yeah. She's the one who took me, and she's like, who? And I'm like, his face is on the building. It's not like a mystery, you know?
Well, now that you have this gig, you're going to get great seats even without Amy Schumer.
I hope so. Yeah, Amy is usually the hookup.
Yeah.
Usually they're like, she brought some loser friend with her. And I'm like, that's not very nice publication.
It's always funny when I see that too, like page 6, and be like, Amy Schumer, Chris Rock.
She's very generous, yeah.
And others. and friends.
Yeah.
I know. Oh my God, yeah, she's generous like that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So would you have her on your show? Can you have entertainers on?
She's doing me a lot of favors that are currently in the final process of contracts. So I don't want to ask her for any more favors. She does a lot.
That's great.
And, she's the most generous person. Like her and Dave Attell are the most generous people.
Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm sure MSG's like, can you get her on? I'm like, give it a minute.
Yes.
Give it a minute. But the MSG brought in some cool guests. Like, I think John Franco from the Mets is coming on next week, which is cool because he's a New York born guy. John Wallace is on tomorrow.
Great.
Who was awesome. You know, went to Syracuse for 4 years, played in Rochester growing up and then was a Knick. And he's got amazing stories because he played in Greece and Italy.
Yeah.
And in Greece, I think they were just, the owners are just all corrupt. they all will just buy, in Greece, they just buy the refs dinner the night before. That's somehow legal. And if they take them to a nice dinner, they get all the calls. And John Wallace was saying, I had the only owner who didn't do that. I had the only owner that played by the book, and I guess one day he just gets called for like 4 fouls. He's like, I wasn't even involved in the plays.
Right.
They just wanted me out of the game because I'm big. And then at halftime, his owner comes down and drop kicks the ref.
Oh, Jesus.
And somehow doesn't get banned from the league. He just starts getting the calls in the second half. And when I heard that, I was like, I gotta watch fucking Greek basketball. This sounds like WWE. It's amazing.
They have, they've gotten so much better in Europe. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
It's really on the horizon that some of these teams are going to start challenging us internationally, because you can see we don't blow them out the way we used to. In 92, when we put together the Dream Team, it was like 40, 50 points.
It was like Jordan versus Somalia.
Yeah.
This isn't fair.
But the weird thing is, like, that's how people get better. When they're like, okay, we've got to aim for these guys. So you get better, your programs.
You're so right, man.
Get better.
I mean, Spain is nasty right now. Argentina is nasty. There's so many, France is really good. There's so many cool, and it's great for basketball because it's become this international phenomenon. That's how soccer became huge.
Right. And football is so frustrated because they couldn't get bigger in the United States, and they're not going to spread around the world.
Football's in this era right now where it's done everything wrong it can do. Like, I love football, but the amount of shit that Roger Goodell does wrong it's insane. You're like, so you, like, how, and then you read about these scandals now, and they've got to be like thrilled when it's not, like, cause, you know, the way they handled the Ray Rice thing was crazy. The way I think it's insane that it's like the most talked about thing. I'm not breaking any ground here, but that Tom Brady got more days suspended for a deflated football, or not fully inflated, whatever it was, than Ray Rice did for like punching a woman out in an elevator. You're like, oh, that says so much about their brand. Like Adam Silver for the NBA, the commissioner, I think has done everything right. So
I will always remember the day that the Ray Rice tape came out, because we were watching it on TV live. And Gilbert Gottfried was here, and I never heard him laugh so loud.
Oh my God.
And he was like, play that guy. Like, he was so happy.
It's like, hey, Gilbert, this gig is why you lost Aflac. Maybe you shouldn't be laughing at that video.
But, I mean, it was uncontrollable laughter for him. I mean, it wasn't
like he's looking at slapstick comedy.
Yes.
Like,
he just found it to be the funniest
Jesus
thing.
Christ. Well, that says a lot.
Now, have you heard from any sports guys who would have loved to have that show and have worked their whole life in sports journalism?
For my show?
Yeah, now here you are, a comic.
No, but
it's a dream gig.
No, but you know, I did a benefit. This is a weird story. I did a benefit last night, or not a benefit, but like it's for like Coca-Cola and the New York Rangers. I did it at Trump Golf Course in like Westchester, and coming in, it was like that classic thing where the owner of the golf club was like, I love comedy. Like, I really get comedy. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to go badly. You could just sniff out a bomb.
Yeah.
So, you know, Kenny Albert's there, Al Troutwig is there, and it felt like Anchorman. You know, just like all the commentators just like chatting, and they were cool. And then, and Kenny Albert was like, you know, this is going to be a tough room. Like, I should hope you can handle it. He's doing what he can.
Yeah.
You know, and he kind of gives me a nice intro. And I just see him in the corner just like, what can you do? As I'm like mid-bomb, like, maybe I shouldn't have told this joke. Maybe I shouldn't have told that joke. And it was like that classic thing where like everyone after the show is like, rough crowd. I'm like, it was you. It was all of you.
The crowd.
You made up the crowd.
If you would have started laughing, with everyone who said tough crowd could have laughed.
It could have gone worse, but then like Adam Graves is there from the Rangers, and I loved him growing up. I mean, that was when I was really into hockey growing up. Like, I loved Adam Graves and Messier and Rick. They were just such a cool team. They won. That team won. So Graves came over, and he's like, I could tell he's like knew that one didn't go great, but he's trying to be nice. And he's like, yeah, man, you really, I really like humor. I was like, ooh, well, I guess I did bomb because, I like humor.
Humor.
Yeah. Just as a concept.
He said like everything you could say. He's like, yeah, and here's another one you can tell when it wasn't good. The guy at the golf club who gave me his card before was like, was that story true? That's like classic. It didn't go well.
Right.
That's like, how do I avoid saying anything positive about this?
Right.
You know? Yeah. But then Adam Graves, like, he talked to me for a while, and he's like, I'm sure our paths will cross again. He was definitely trying to be nice, for sure. He seems like a good guy.
That's hilarious.
And he was, I mean, I loved him. He was an awesome player.
Sam Morril's in studio. People Talking Sports and Other Stuff airs Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. on MSG Network. Or if you don't have MSG, go to MSG's Facebook fan page. Every episode airs there.
Chris, I'm going to ask you, because I don't know this for a fact, who was your guy growing up? Who was your sports hero?
For the Knicks, it was like...
No, it doesn't have to be for the Knicks. Anybody.
Well, as I said before, Jim Thorpe was my guy, and then also Derek Jeter.
How old are you that Jim Thorpe was your guy?
Well, because in school they told us about Jim Thorpe, and I had to do like reports on him, and so I was like, "Wow, he could do every sport really well."
Yeah.
And then they treated him like shit, fucking stupid white man.
But
So
he
I
wasn't drunk.
Yeah, but that's fine though. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, he could still fucking run shit.
It's weird to have two producers whose heroes is Jim Thorpe. One, Native American, makes sense. The other one will just drown like in his own vomit and booze like Jim Thorpe, Chris Stanley. Vito, what about for you?
Like defaultly Mike Piazza, but then weirdly enough,
What? That's kind of mean. Why is it a default?
well, no, like
for
just like when you were a
Piazza?
Mets fan growing up, there wasn't a lot else to look for.
Oh, I
right?
love Piazza, man.
So, no, I mean I love him, but it was
Yeah.
like it was all you had. Like we
Al Leiter was great for you guys too.
And then other than that, like for some reason, I loved like Shaq. Just because being a bit like I couldn't afford sneakers growing up, so my mom only bought me Shaq shoes, and I just
Those Reeboks?
fell in love with him. Payless.
Oh, the Payless.
They didn't even come in boxes; they were hanging on clips on the racks.
Remember when they used to put the Shaq shoe in the Reebok store and you would just see how big
Yes.
like a 23 was, and you're like, this is made up.
Those were, I thought, like the ugliest sneakers ever. And
Yeah,
they were
they-
like a phenomenon.
Yeah.
Those Reebok in like the
Well,
90s.
They were like putting on 2 pounds of fucking weight. You know what I mean? They were so heavy. But what was that when they also used to, you would pump, remember the pump?
The Reeboks?
Yeah.
Reebok pumps?
Yeah. And like they were
Oh, yeah.
big as hell for a year or two.
Yeah,
You're like, well, these are really uncomfortable.
By the way, there was like a thing when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure, yeah, it was Shaq, that they got in my elementary school, they got a cardboard cutout of Shaq that was actual size. And then they just had the one, and then literally everyone in school lined up to take a picture standing next to a cardboard cutout. I don't even remember what this occasion is. And they're like, kids, we got the Shaq
cutout.
We got the Shaq cutout. Everyone line up. Everyone gets a Shaq picture.
I love
And it was
that.
like so exciting, but like hilarious to step back and look at the kids. Like everyone has their moment where they're like, yep, pretty tall. All right, here's my picture. Like everyone had the same thing. An entire school.
That's amazing. Yeah, the Shaq was just such a big deal when he came in the end.
Oh, it
He
was a
shook things
cartoon.
up. Yeah, it was unreal.
After games were just like he wouldn't hold anything back. He'd just be like, "No, Kobe played like shit today." And we
But
could've
remember when he rapped and then he did movies?
Video
and
games,
it was
Shaq
just
Fu.
crazy.
Shaq Fu Kazam.
And he's still now on tour with comics. He just goes around having a fun time.
Yeah, he
around
seems
the
cool.
Yeah.
He was on a track with Biggie.
Holy shit. He knew Biggie growing up. I think that was how that
Is that
went
right?
down. Yeah.
I thought Biggie just like Biggie just said he was his favorite rapper, and then Shaq found out and was like, "I'll do a song with you if you like me so much."
Wow. That is popularity because I would not do comedy with Shaq.
I remember with...
That's not true. I probably would. Things are not going that well.
It was Shaq and Penny Hardaway with Little Penny on the commercial played by Chris Rock.
That was a great
Yeah,
commercial.
it was amazing. And then he got hurt, and I never saw anyone's career go down as fast as Penny Hardaway's. I mean,
Penny had that one year though when Shaq was hurt where he just lit it up. And
He
then
was
you're right.
great.
After that, it was injuries, man. Penny was he was unreal. 6'7". He was like
Yeah.
magic. He was amazing.
Yeah, he was... People would have no idea how big he was. I mean, he was a name guy that 3 years later...
Well, the 30 for 30 on the Orlando Magic's amazing.
Yeah.
This Magic moment, one of the best ones.
I haven't seen it. So
I love the NBA one, so
Yeah.
I think it's killer. Just about his kind of decline.
First
But
of all, I love every 30 for 30. There's not a 30 for 30 I won't watch.
it's good, man.
Yeah,
it's
it's
good
great,
stuff.
great. I'll tell you what I was telling these guys, this rockumentary called The Defiant Ones right now, where they get into Dr. Dre and then Jimmy Iovine, and then it's 4 episodes, and it's one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Unbelievable. But the 30 for 30s, one after another, I can watch those things. And they don't seem like they fall into any kind of line, like, oh, I'm going to force this into these. They'll just be a great story.
Yeah, it's kind of impressive that they all are strong. They're all just good. I love the basketball one's really like my favorites, but then some like I don't even like soccer that much, and the two Castros one is
unbelievable.
Insane.
The Brian Bosworth, I don't know whether you guys have seen that, but
I heard it's great.
He has his kid with him. And he's telling some of the stories like, my dad just pushed me, and that's why I became the boss. I became an idiot. And you just see his kid all choked up. My dad hurts. It's fucking great.
I love the one about Yugoslavia. That's my favorite one, the Yugoslavia national team with Drazen Petrovic and Vlade Divac.
Yeah.
So good.
Is that the one that the dad gave shirts to?
No, that's another one.
That's a different one?
Yeah. Dude, Drazen Petrovic, such a great player. Unreal. And, passed away. He was in a car crash, passed away before his time. But, like, Reggie Miller says the best shooter he's ever seen.
That's an unbelievable thing to hear from on that. I want to do the Chris Stanley 30 for 30.
I can't wait. I can't wait to be the subject of a documentary.
I want the Joe Mackey. I'm writing it. I'm pushing Mackey to. Oh God, yeah, Mackey is so sick of those jokes. We give it to him constantly.
And he's still pro Penn State. Like he will never give that away.
He's also pro Cosby for some reason. I don't know. He's just very.
Are you serious?
No.
That would be my favorite thing in the world.
I still like his comedy.
Very conservative. I remember I called him young Ronald Reagan one day. And
Mackey?
Yeah, and he couldn't have felt better.
Oh, he loves that.
He just loves. Just thinking.
I think his trickle-down economics is really relevant today. Yeah, Mackey is, he's going to do a role in the sports show as basically just being the troll. It's pretty fun. It's like he basically wears a mustache and he just acts like one of those trolls on ESPN where he's just like, LeBron is not good at basketball. That's how I feel. He's just a dick on the. It's amazing. It's there. I think it'll hopefully be in next week or the week after. I'm pumped for that.
So 11 o'clock at night. MSG.
And a lot of people don't have MSG, so just go to the Facebook page for MSG Networks, and the full episodes are going to be on there. The first one's already up there.
Chris Stanley, I want you to make sure you tell us every day who's the guest that night. That's going to be your thing.
This will be my thing every night.
Yeah.
People talking sports and other stuff, which airs Monday through Thursday, 11 p.m. MSG Network, and on the Facebook page for MSG Networks. That's where every episode will be. And I'll be telling you who the guests are.
Now, yes, that'll be your thing.
That's your special job.
Pew is on tonight again.
Pew, yeah, and Dan Soder.
Do you, Dan Soder talking 49ers football?
No, I know he would have loved that. I should have done that. But we got in it was mostly like just current events.
Yeah.
Like what was going on.
Soder is a guy who seems like a normal guy, but is so obsessed with his Niner team.
Really?
That'll build his Sunday around it. Well, your guys the same way. Your guys seems totally normal until the Eagles season starts to go south.
Yes. And then it's like, it's the whole mood of the day can change. Everything
He
can
would actually,
shift.
and he's a nice guy, but he's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't watch this with anyone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
I do that too.
He can be pretty upset.
Yeah.
It's not good. And like, it's like one of those things where like, I get upset for him, and then I also get upset, like, fucking Eagles ruined my day. Like, it just shifted everything. We were going to go out.
Well, now it affects you.
Yeah, so, like...
But 52 years they haven't won a Super Bowl. You shouldn't expect one.
I know.
You should just be like, hey, I hope we go 7-9 this year.
But that's the problem is like, it seems like since we've been dating, what normally happens is like kind of starts out like shit. And he's like, look, this is the way it goes. Like, this is the problem. Then they pick up some speed. Everything is going. He starts to like magical thinking starts to take over. Then they fuck the season up. And then it's really bad until it's like when he gets to the point where he's just like, good. I'm fucking glad that they're out of this. I'm glad.
It's like a
You know
death.
what? Yeah. He's like, now we can move on. We can go, what do you want to do today? Anything. You tell me. And I'm like, no, we'll watch the game. Let's watch the game.
He wants to be mathematically eliminated so he can begin his life again.
Yes, exactly.
You know what it is? It's
like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. It's like one of those people who says that about a breakup, but you see like, they're like already like, they haven't
broken.
shaved in weeks and they're like, I'm really happy. I'm happier now, actually.
I remember they did a Sex in the City back in the day about, like, she was dating this guy who would only have sex with her when the Knicks won. And she's like, they don't ever win.
Right.
I was like, holy crap, I've never related to a thing more. It's like I get down. Like, I'll read about an acquisition or a sign I don't like, and my girlfriend will look at me like, did someone die? And I'm like, no, I just don't like, I don't think this guy fits our offense. That's all it is, you know? But it's tough. You get invested, and as a fan, it's just...
I don't think he fits her offense. I'm going to leave early tonight.
By the way, I bumped into Big J yesterday, and he was like, just saw me, and he's like, Eagles.
Yes.
And I was like, I know, buddy. I know.
Jay is so hardcore.
He's like, we should all get together, watch a game together. I was like, this is how it starts.
Well, he wears his dumb shirt every day like a little child who believes in this team that has given him no reason to believe.
Well, you know what? Jay is a real fan. Like, he's also like, he talks to me about the Eagles or about the Sixers, and the Sixers just like plagued by injuries. And it's like, I'm scared to see him. Like, Markelle Fultz just went down, their first overall pick. I was like scared to run into him.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of my favorite things is like, it's funny, like when you grow up with a team and you just want to believe and you put your whole heart into it. And I think about like my grandfather talking about my brother, like, cause we grew up in Florida. So my brother, you know, like followed the Bucks, and what was it? He had said something like, that team doesn't deserve his love.
Yeah, it doesn't deserve his love.
Like, cause he just saw how strongly my brother felt about just a piece of shit team.
Yeah.
He's like, they don't deserve that boy. They don't deserve him.
Well, it's true of some teams, you know, it really is. I mean, you see some, like, I mean, think about being a Cubs fan for like 100 years. I mean, people.
Yeah, well, they didn't even try most of the time.
Yeah.
They didn't try to have a decent team for their city.
Yeah.
It's always amazing to me that these owners get to say, well, I need to make a profit. But to me, it's always like, well, aren't you doing this because you can give back to the community? No one has a museum and says, I need to make a profit with this.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're
point?
like, this is like you buying a park for your town. This
Right.
is, your name can go on it. And it can run, but you shouldn't be able to leave there with an extra $1 billion like that prick did down in Miami with the baseball team.
Yeah.
You don't fucking get to make $1 billion off this.
Oh yeah, I love that Jeb Bush was involved in that one too. That was like another failure for him.
Yeah.
He's just had a string of just bad luck.
Not his year. Can you imagine even Jeb Bush fucking watching Trump news every night?
Oh,
But
no.
all I try to do is give these people something beautiful. And look what they chose.
I've never seen a person age like throughout that campaign in my
Those
life.
campaigns are
Of course,
brutal.
He's shriveled up.
I don't know how anyone does it.
Oh, nah, it's brutal. I did one day in America's Got Talent, and I was like, I want to kill myself.
Yes.
This is their whole life.
Yeah. And that is true, man. Like, if you had to sit down and ride that roller coaster. And now Trump, his son is in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, that's gonna,
I know.
we had $1 billion in our family. We could do whatever we want. We're flying around.
Yeah.
And now people are like, do you think his son will go to jail?
They're
You're
going
like,
away
what
one
the
away
fuck
like the
for?
Madoffs. It's
I
crazy.
know.
I know.
And you know, and also they're just, I love that they're like any politician now, you're just walking down the street all day, photographed all day, and they find like the one shot of you having like a double chin. And like, look at this fat piece of shit.
But you know, I think of that like with everything going on, that's like the expression that Melania has had on her face for like a year.
Yes.
It's just like, I had it all figured out.
Right.
I fucking hooked myself up with this old piece of shit. Fucking, you know, he had all this money and then he fucked us. Like it was an easy road for her. And now she's just like in the public eye nonstop, and like her kids and the family and everything. And she's just
She didn't
like,
want this.
Why would anybody?
She wanted to be quietly rich. She thought she had the best deal ever. And look what happened.
Look at this. Trump Jr. releases emails that seem to show that his desire to work with Russia to defeat Clinton.
I mean, it's kind of ironic, huh?
Tried as a traitor. They're going to shoot him in the town square.
Treason? My son's going away for treason? I used to have a reality show. What the fuck is this?
Then Trump just wrote, I applaud my son's transparency. It was only when he got caught did he get
the opposite of being transparent. You were busted, and then you're like, oh yeah, I did that.
Since November, they were saying we did not meet with any Russians. Never happened.
Oh, those Russians.
Although if we did meet with him, we met with him on Saturday the 14th in Ohio. Or whatever. That's like the classic.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's that Chris Christie picture the other day made me laugh so
It was
hard.
the best thing I've ever seen in my
He's just
life.
sitting on the beach, and everyone's like, "Look at this fat piece of shit."
And the fact that his family is around him, it looked like they had a cooler out there. I mean, it was just like, they're like, we got the whole beat. Like, they
can't do anything.
Yeah.
But like the thing too is like the picture of like it's got the fucking drone takes a picture and he's like looking up like what's that? Like, he's like, what that's not going to ruin our whole day, is it?
The only thing worse is if he was getting a blowjob. Now, did you see like he did his thing on the fan the other day, right? And there was like one clip where him and a guy are yelling back, and it's gone viral. And
Yeah,
I'm
what was he
that's
yelling about?
every day. Well, I think the guy was attacking him over the beach thing. But, I mean, if you're going...
How dare you sit in the beach?
Yeah. If you're going to do talk radio, occasionally someone's going to call you fat ass. And they treat it like... All right, let's just play it for a second.
Who is it? Who's he on with?
Claire, what's up, Mike?
Governor, next time you want to sit on a beach that is closed to the entire world except you, you put your fat ass in a car and go to one that's open to all your constituents.
Well, you know,
not just you and yours.
Interesting, Mike. You know what?
What's that? What's that, Gov?
You know, Mike, I love getting calls from communists in Montclair.
Communists in Montclair.
You know,
you're a bully, Governor, and I don't like bullies.
You know what? And listen, I'm not the one who came on the air. Hey, hold on, Mike. Mike, I'm not the guy who came on the air, swore on the air.
Who swore?
And so you did.
Get the heck out of here.
You know, you're swearing on the air, Mike. You're a bum.
You know,
so
you
let's
have
so
bad
let's
optics,
just
and you're a bully.
bad optics,
okay?
Mike.
And
I'd love to come look at
the
your
lowest
optics every day, buddy.
rating in the
Oh, that's you know what,
Jersey
and you know what, Mike. What matters is what you do. That's what matters.
And what have you done?
What I just did was stop polluting the airways with a guy like that. Now, listen, these guys are going to come on and notice they're both from Montclair.
Well, you know what's so funny? Can I just say?
Yeah. I told you when the calls came up, right?
I said to the governor, I said, man, you're popular in Montclair. We got a few guys up. And you're like, no, Evan, I'm not popular in Montclair.
No, there's no chance. You know, in a state like in my state in 2013, when I won 19 out of 21 counties and got 61% of the vote, you know, I lost Montclair. So
they don't like you there.
No. The editorial page editor of the largest newspaper lives in Montclair. I mean, this is a town that, let's just say, to be charitable, leans leftward.
Now, why would you want to put yourself into talk radio
I know.
after being a governor?
He is falling hard.
But you know what I did love about that caller? I like when you take something that's not a negative and you make, gov.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, what's that, gov?
I'm a governor. It's a good thing my parents were
Oh, yeah, gov? Yes.
I don't like him, but why put yourself in the line of fire like that? That's my whole thing is like these morons have too loud a voice now. And to be a politician, to be a governor, and just let a guy be like, listen up, fat ass. Can you imagine? Can you imagine putting yourself in that situation?
Well, he wants to get that Mad Dog contract.
He might be gunning for, after this, he might be gunning for a radio show. We might see him in this building.
That's basically what he's doing at the fan. He wants afternoon drive after Mike leaves. It's crazy. Dude, always great to see you. Congratulations
Thank you for having me, man.
On the gig. I'll be watching every night.
People talk. Sam Morril's been in studio. People Talking Sports and Other Stuff airs Monday through Thursday at 11 p.m. on the MSG Network. It's also airing, if you don't have the MSG Network, on MSG Network's Facebook page, their fan page. Tonight, Dan Soder and Justin Pugh will be on.
That's a hell of a show. I can't wait for it.
Soder kills it.
And I'll see you all again in 1974.
Ladies and gentlemen, the evening is over. We hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and we'll see you all again in 1974. Good evening.